shit, nobody knows what they're talking about.
Where's that part where you were talking about, like, I don't know, stars or something?
Yeah, I got a little out there.
Universes?
I love when I start to get out over my skis, and I'm like, bring it back. Bring it back. You don't really know how to go down this road. Don't try. Like,
you're supposed to go down the Black
I
Hill.
gotta check
there.
myself. I'm like, whoa, buddy, you're not that versed in what you're about to try to talk about.
That's something that sometimes can be. You don't realize that you're just. You'd like the thing, but you don't know it very well. Yeah,
oh, yeah.
You know, and
I heard a podcast about it once, so I'm like, I'm basically an expert. I should start talking.
Yeah,
about
I heard one person's like thought process on it. Now I think I know about the entire theory of this thing.
Yeah, I'm not easily influenced at all. I don't know what you're talking about. Boom. We're rolling. We might as well go into it. Cheers. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me,
my man. You're a dude who I have enjoyed for a very long time. Like Shannon put, I think she asked me like, how long have you known Alex? And I was like, I didn't think about it. And then I sat down. I was like, Jesus, I've known him for longer than I thought.
I was thinking about that on the way here, and I think it's got to be at least 17 or 18 years.
Yeah, it's like ambrosia. Like
yeah, because I think I'd have been
mics.
22. Ish.
Yeah, we were young.
So
we were young.
I'm going to be 40 here pretty soon, so it's got to be 17, 18 years.
And I can't remember if I met you just randomly while you were playing somewhere, or if like Hibbler was playing somewhere and you were there, or he was opening for you or something.
It may have been like I knew him, and then he came to one of the open mics that I hosted.
It was probably an open mic
because I mean back then, that's what I was doing, like two at one point, like one on Tuesdays and on Wednesdays, another one.
Oh, dude!
So like
packing them in,
just a lot of open mic jams.
Tons. That's how it started for me. Just coming to enjoy the shows with you, or if Hibbler was playing somewhere, and I was just done with college. I was home again. I had an ID to be at a bar. I was like, what do I do now? And it was like, oh, live music. There's fucking Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
and there was a lot of it, man. Yeah, I mean, that age, like people were happy to go out and could basically go out, on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, obviously Friday and Saturday.
Every day.
Yeah, pretty much.
And to bring it all around, it turns out after 17 years of knowing a man, you start to find out some things that aren't just related to him holding the guitar and playing music. So you're a little bit more complicated than that. You're a little bit more into other things, and you've got a life outside the music that you do. But the reason I first kind of thought like, oh, Alex would be a good guest, because I was thinking, people that have unique career paths, or paths, whatever.
You can say bad decision making.
No, I'm just thinking. My thought was like, dude's been playing music like 4 to 5 nights a week for most of his life at this point. Like
almost half of it. Almost half of it, which is pretty crazy.
You don't think about that.
I
like you might, but like
only
people
recently.
that go and sit there and cheer and enjoy and ask you to play Freebird,
like, hey,
they
cool.
don't know. They don't think about that.
I just recently started, kind of thinking about like how long have I been doing not just playing music, but like how long have I been doing it for work, basically, right?
Right.
And yeah, it's like 17 years.
Financial sustenance.
Yeah, and it's a lot of shows, like probably since 2016, it's been like an average of 270 to 290 was the most I ever did, like 292 was the most I ever did in a year. Yeah, 292 was way too many.
And that's a combination of headlining, open mic hosting, and opening for a friend, whatever it is.
Absolutely everything in between.
Are they paying money? I will be there.
Yeah. Are they not paying money? Well, it's for a friend.
I'll do it.
Yeah, it still counts.
Can I play lead guitar? I will be there.
It turns out I can't really play lead guitar, so I'll play lead harmonica instead.
Yeah, dude, you fucking tear that up.
I prefer that because I don't know.
That.
People assume I know how to solo on a guitar.
Just dance around.
And I probably should, but I don't really. So like harmonica though, I have a great time. Just
yeah,
that's not how it sounds. Obviously
not.
Hopefully not.
No, it sounds just like that.
I'm playing a cat.
It was perfect. So yeah, I mean that's our I guess our origin story, but I did get thinking after I was thinking about how long have I known him, and oh shit, he's been playing that for a long time. My other thought was, what were you doing? Like, outside of music during those times? Like I think you were probably 21, 22, whatever it was when we met. So like,
Nothing.
what kind of jobs were you ever holding other jobs while you were playing music?
The last time I had a regular job other than playing was I was 20 or 21 maybe.
Oh, jeez.
And that's the last time. That's when I decided.
What did you do? What are you doing?
I think I'm going to have a hard time remembering exactly if this is the one or not, but it was close enough to the end.
Push
And it
that
was
out
so
of your head.
ridiculous that I'm going to just say this is the last one. It was delivering meat on the back of a truck for a place called Butcher's Choice.
Ooh.
And it was not good. It was not a good quality.
Yeah.
It was not a good quality.
Oh, that's pretty good. Whoa. You didn't tell me you had that in your pocket.
I didn't know if I was going to throw it out.
That was good.
But it wasn't very good. And like I said, I was 21, and they had me on the back of this truck. You were riding with somebody all the time. You and another person. You would kind of just split off, and when you got to a neighborhood, and just go door to door, basically. And I hated it immediately because I didn't like doing. I probably could be a salesman, but it would have to be for something I'm very passionate
really
in.
care about
Like I
it.
can't just sell anything. I could sell something that I really believe in, though. But that was not something I believed in. So we're walking around doing this selling this just back bargain meat,
terrible.
frozen meat out of the back of a truck in a cooler that isn't even like properly cooled. They just had dry ice in the back.
Just
of it.
looked like a cooler.
Yeah, I mean it was a cooler, but it was
Presented
like is it
itself
plugged into
as
something?
a cooler.
Like, yeah, and there were some weird experiences, and I'll tell you, I started realizing something was off with this place when I realized the guy that I was riding with wanted to stop somewhere in the middle of a really bad neighborhood, and he went into a apartment building. And I just sat in the car, in the truck. He came back out after like 15, 20 minutes. I'm like, what the hell are we doing here? We left and went on to do our thing. And then at some point during the middle of that day, we stopped at a gas station so he could go to the bathroom. And he was in there for like 15 minutes, maybe 20. Again, came back out, and he had been clearly smoking crack.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
You got to keep your mind right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough day out there for Butcher's Choice.
Butcher's Choice.
They're not around anymore, by the way.
No, they just rebranded to like the common ones now, the Butcher Box.
Yeah, and that's honestly, there's
Every podcast
always
sponsored
been
by
one.
Butcher Box. Butcher Box, be my sponsor.
So yeah, that was probably my last real job, was doing that. Yeah,
How long that last?
about a year, because
you actually did it for wow.
yeah,
I'm
because
actually-
for the first couple months I was on the truck, and I'm like, I told the guy who owned the place, I was like, listen, I can't do this anymore, so I'm going to probably have to leave. And he's
It's not
like,
for me.
listen, Alex, no, we like having you over here. So would you mind working in the office, maybe, like doing the trucks when you come back? I'm like, I'll do that. It was like $120 a day to do that for a 21-year-old. It was like you'd be there for 6 hours maybe. Like that's not too bad.
I can count.
Yeah, I can count meat.
Yeah.
Wads.
Odds. Go over and call it actual meat.
So I did that for like the next 8 months or so. Then I was like, and then they had like a party there at the office that got way too out of control.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Damn.
A lot of drinking. The owner passed out with his shirt off.
Hell yeah.
At his desk.
And you don't want to work for that? That's kind of guy.
Amazingly, at the time,
People
you would
always
have
say, I'd
thought.
love to have a beer with that guy.
Yeah, like a 21-year-old, you think maybe I would, but even that was like too much for
Fucks
me.
with a guy like that.
I was like, what the hell is going on? So I got the F out of there.
Nope, no more of this. I guess I'll go back to pushing these guitar strings around.
I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just like start booking more shows and do that full time instead. So that's,
When did that hit you though? Like, because I imagine like maybe we just walk the whole thing back here. So what, like, where'd you grow up? Like you local
Camelot
boy?
You
You were a Camelot boy.
which is technically in Joliet, but I went to Manuka schooling, Manuka school districts, and I pretty much grew up there. I mean, that's my entire youth is in Camelot. We did spend like a year at my grandma and aunt's house in Plainfield when I was in high school. That was just like a year and a half ish, and then we moved back to the house in Camelot. So it was all basically there.
I feel like there's a whole story inside there.
Yeah. Well, let me backtrack.
Like, I'll just leave that a year and a half out.
So before I moved, I moved into Camelot. The house in Camelot when I was about 6 years old. That's when my mom met my stepdad, who's my dad. And before that, though, we lived in Texas near Arlington, and we lived in Arizona. Yeah, I don't really remember any of that because it was all before I was like 5 years old. The only memory I have of either of those two was being, I believe it was in Arizona, and I remember I don't remember how it felt, but I do remember seeing ants all over my feet, and there were red ants eating my feet, basically.
Oh, shit.
So that's like the one memory I have.
You have a club foot. All right.
Yeah, I should maybe.
Got a weird foot now.
But yeah, okay, now we fast forward back to the little year and a half. So my parents separated. They got into a big fight, and to be fair, my mom was a bit of I love her to death. She's passed away now, but she was a little bit. There's something wrong with her brain. She never got diagnosed with anything because she never went to see anybody about it.
Diagnosing people like that.
Yeah, but there was very clear. I mean, at the time, I'm too young to really realize what that is. But she had some sort of a mental illness of some kind, and she just never had it diagnosed, and that was really tough for everybody to figure out. And so we moved to my grandma's for a year, and then they worked it out, and they got back together for a little while, and then they did eventually get divorced. But
eventually, she was like, "No, we're not doing this." Like,
it was more my dad.
I remember.
My dad was like, "I can't."
I remember going to your mom's services at. You said that now, and it just hit me like it wasn't like 30 and plain.
Yeah, it was
like
at Overman Jones.
59 over there.
Jones, yeah.
My God, how long ago was that now?
That is now like 13 years ago.
Okay, so I have known you for longer than.
Yeah, 12 or 13. Let's see.
Geez.
I was 27, I think. So 13. It'll be about. It's like 12 and a half years, really. But
do you like? Where's the music come from for you? Like
I don't know.
It always?
I have no idea.
Was there uncles, aunts,
no,
mom, dad?
Nobody in my family plays music.
Nobody plays it.
Nope.
Did you have like strong musical influences growing up? Like, did you have like records on or like people playing music that you remember?
The best I can figure it is that my stepdad, he played a little bit of like classical guitar, but it wasn't like he played all of the time. Mm-hmm. But that was that's probably where I saw somebody playing the first time. That's definitely where I saw like live music.
Okay.
The first time that I can like really recall. And then he listened to a lot of music downstairs, like Pink Floyd and Deep Purple and stuff like that.
Some of them good ones.
Yeah.
All right.
So that was all definitely there, but I mean that was all in between like 10 and 16, 17 is my memory of that stuff. My mom listened to like Paul Simon and the stuff that I liked is definitely from them listening to it, but it was weird to me thinking about it, over the last several years, just like nobody played music, and nobody played music like with any kind of frequency at all in my family. And my dad's the only person that ever really played more than a little bit.
Really?
So, yeah.
Okay. So when did you end up with a guitar in hand?
16.
Did you do band or anything? Were you like in band? Did you read music?
In junior high, I was in band for a year. I played saxophone for 1 year, tenor saxophone.
Shout out tenor saxophone.
Hell yeah. And that was kind of short-lived, just the 1 year. But I think I liked it. And then my grandpa, I don't know why I said it like that.
That was awesome.
My grandpa.
Do it again.
Got me a keyboard when I was probably 10, 11. And I sort of taught myself how to play the theme songs for a few movies that I liked. So like Halloween was like the first one.
Of course,
and like all the
why wouldn't you?
Strings, get the strings going. Jurassic Park.
Yes.
I so stuff like that. So like I started getting interested in the music with that keyboard being in front of me.
Okay.
And then after a while, not knowing anything about music, you kind of just like, how many times can I play Halloween and Jurassic Park before you're like, okay, I'm kind of done with it. And then I just do weird sounds all the time.
Okay.
Then I get to be 16, 17, and I asked my dad because I'd seen him play a little bit, and I'm like, hey, I kind of want a guitar. He's like, all right, well, if I get you a guitar, you've got to learn how to play it, all right?
Because
he's Scottish. Oh, he's Scottish.
No,
indeed, he's Scottish.
I did not know this.
That's
this
right,
is wonderful.
Well, he's my stepdad.
Oh,
actually.
this is wonderful. I like that.
So I'm like, okay, I'll learn how to play it. So he got me a guitar, or I was using. I think he gave me one of his old guitars or something. So I learned just basic chords, C, D, G's. I think what he taught me, and then after that, it was just kind of up to me to figure out if I wanted to. So tabs were. The internet was out at this point finally,
right.
and you're able to look up tabs on the internet. So that's kind of how it all started.
That's where it got cooking for you, huh?
Mm-hmm. And then my aunt and my mom went in together and bought me like my first real guitar. I'd been to a couple open mics already, and I didn't have like a decent guitar at that point. So they kind of went in together from like my 17th or 18th birthday, and got me an Alvarez. I don't remember the model number, but it was like a orange and red sunburst Alvarez.
I remember the Alvarez.
Yeah. So yeah.
Probably from Brandolino's or something.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, actually, yeah.
Do you? I mean,
Bill K's.
Oh yeah, Bill K's.
That's where it was
hot. That was the hotness there. Do you remember like when you? I mean, do you feel like you took to it quickly? Do you feel like it was?
Yes.
You feel
immediately. I think
it was like an addiction at first when you're just like, oh, I learned, and now I want to build and do.
I wanted to learn. I knew for a fact that once I realized I could learn something, like, I was like, I think I always wanted to write stuff, just music or otherwise, anyways. So I figured once I felt comfortable, like, okay, I learned the first song or two, and it took a little while, but once I started getting better just with guitar in general, like learning songs became much easier. And then I was like, okay, I can write my own stuff now. And I started writing like maybe a year or two after, not even a year, not even 2 years after, like a year into learning guitar, really. Because I think that was always
the goal.
Yeah, just whether I did what I did with it, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think I needed to write something. You know what I mean?
No shit.
And music, or songs, I guess, just seemed to make the most sense. Because it was this thing I was real freshly into, like guitar playing and singing, and then also the writing part, which was I think what I needed more than anything,
So it wasn't weird for you? Like, some people, me included, like when I first learned how to play at all, it was like, I'll never be able to strum a chord and sing at the same time.
That was 100% the hardest thing.
Right. It always felt like this is an impossible task.
Yep.
How do people do this?
Do a bar chord and sing and switch?
Do you remember that, like, kind of coming together for you? And you're like, oh, yeah. This isn't that bad.
I remember thinking, just like you're saying, excuse me, I'm going to burp real quick.
Do it. Oh, close up.
I remember thinking.
ASMR for this audience. Off mic.
I definitely remember thinking, like, as I'm learning the just chords and stuff, like, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to sing over this because I'm having a hard time just getting from one place to the other. And obviously, it all comes down to once you get comfortable enough with this hand, really more than anything, this will eventually figure itself out. But
the strumming hand, for those of you who are just listening,
this hand over here, wink, wink.
Sorry, it's a video podcast. That's fair. Yeah. That's fair.
Rhythm, rhythm is like the notating part of your hand and stuff will come at some point. Giggity, but the rhythm hand,
phrasing.
The rhythm hand really is what drives everything, and if that's not on, then singing is harder immediately because you're trying to sing over that rhythm. So I think that's the case with any music, though, is the rhythm. If the rhythm built in is really good, it's probably going to be good, whether it's something I'm into or not. Like, that's just something I notice right away. I don't care how many notes you can play, but if you can keep everything flowing together correctly, or you have a interesting way of presenting a rhythm, if it's off 6/8, whatever, you can do that well. That to me is way more important than all the notes in the world that you know. Okay. What I mean?
A little advice for the guitarist out there.
Yeah, figure your rhythm out and get real comfortable with your right hand or your left hand, depending on what handed you are. But
well, it was fun. We were just chatting before we started rolling, and we were talking about music and whatnot. Obviously, you just dropped the fact of like 280, 290, whatever it is, gigs per year for damn near 10 years, if not more. So. At some point you get jaded or burn out on it, or like take us through the roller coaster when you really started to take off into it, and like where the passion was at, and like that, how obviously I think you must love it if you're willing to do that.
Like I'd say between 2012 and like 2019, really, is when everything was going up and up and up, like just more stuff, cooler things happening, playing with a band for the first time is in there too. And then 2 different bands through the course of a little bit of time, and finding like I had one band like around 2015, 2016 that were some of the best players I've ever played with, but they were impossible to get together all the time because they all were also full-time musician. So it was really cool to play with him, and it was an amazing sound experience, but you couldn't keep everybody together because they're all doing everything else. And then I met some other super talented guys, but they were more local, and they had a little more time and were looking to do something with a group. Like they wanted to build on a group. So doing that between those years was amazing. Doing some stuff like you came to, the Wrigley Field.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
It was awesome. You came and filmed that.
That
for
was
me.
fun.
And doing Windy City Live a couple times and doing WGN and getting to do those things was amazing. And then 2019 is the last year before COVID, obviously, right? And then we go into COVID, and just like everybody was kind of wondering how this is going to play out. Anybody playing music, I think particularly, was a little more worried.
That's so wild.
Most, but
like what a career.
She was sitting there going like,
so how is this going to work?
What the hell am I going to do here? Well, luckily there were a lot of online things. I helped to build like an online open mic thing that we did a little bit, and then through that set up like some shows with small venues where you would come in by yourself, and there'd just be one guy, doing sound, and then you'd be spatially or distant. What is it? Socially distanced, and then just live stream it to people. And so we found a lot of different ways to somehow make a little bit of cash and money to keep people okay, but also raise some money for charity too, doing that stuff too, which was fantastic. But during that time is when I first started realizing like I never had a moment really, or I never thought about it, I guess, before, like how I just completely forgot about anything else I used to be interested in doing before I started playing music, Part of that was my fault because I was young and drinking and doing stupid shit all the time, and it just...
What kind of stupid things would you be doing?
Well, drugs. And I'm happy to say that I don't do drugs anymore, really. I mean, I smoke weed occasionally, but other than that...
it's not even a drug anymore.
You're allowed to do it anywhere. Yeah. But yeah, you just start realizing, shit, I mean, I kind of forgot about... I like video editing as well. It's something I loved to do in high school. I wanted to go to school for it. We didn't. I didn't have any. We had no money growing up, so like I couldn't go into college. Was at least I didn't know of any way to do it. I mean, I wish I'd had a little more knowledge and like ways to have gone to college, but at the time didn't really know what to do. No, there was no real guidance. So I just kind of said, okay, I guess I'm not going to college. And I wanted to. Of course, I sent in an application or a submission of a video edit that I'd done that my video editing teacher at Manuka let me do in the lab there, which he was awesome. Mr. Bontrager, shout out Mr. Bontrager. But I wanted to submit to Columbia in Chicago, good school.
Right.
I didn't think about what maybe was the best kind of submission to make though. So my whole video editing, and it was really well done, mind you, was professional wrestling.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, I don't know that was the best idea going in, but that was when I realized like if I were to, that was the first time I thought about a job I wanted to do.
Still have that video?
I don't. I wish I did.
When you say pro wrestling, do you say like WWE?
Yeah, like that kind of stuff. And I got clips.
Like that kind of stuff, or like actual.
Yes,
or like you have some local stuff that
local stuff. And here's a funny thing. I also did some professional wrestling when I was in high school.
All right.
So I tore my
this onion.
I tore my ACL completely while I did this, which I had to hide from my parents.
No one is surprised.
My knee was surprised, unfortunately. I didn't tell my mom or my dad that I was doing this. So I was going to these, training sessions and stuff, and going to shows. As far as they were concerned, going to friends' houses or something like that. So. I wrestled at a couple of malls, like one of them in Hammond, Indiana.
This is great to hear. I'm loving this.
I loved it.
I did not expect to get this.
I kind of forgot until we got here. I was like, oh God, you're gonna like this.
I used to do.
This is gonna be an interesting tidbit. But so I'm getting we're getting sidetracked a little bit, but that was one of the coolest experiences I think I've ever had in my life. I think partly because the people that I met doing it were awesome people, just wonderful human beings, and they're nothing like the, their characters that they portray when they do it. They're all like big sweethearts, you know what I mean, really. And that was one of the coolest things I did not expect out of it. And I was like 16 when I was doing this, so I was very young. I was young even for most of the people were like my age now or slightly younger. and I'm training with all these guys. A couple of them were veterans, they had been doing it for many years. Some of it even wrestled on undercards for WWF or for WCW, but like way undercard or in their like their what do you ever want to call it? Like their AAA, their minor league systems and stuff.
No,
like Ohio Valley Wrestling would be one. So getting into that, I felt like I took to it really quickly. The training was a lot of fun. Also super interesting. I mean, like it's not the shit is very difficult. Right. You have to know what you're doing. Otherwise you can really hurt people. So like there was a lot to learn and it was fun and you get to perform. And I think that I wanted to act when I was younger.
You have a performative gene.
I've always, acting was something I think I wanted to act more than I ever wanted to do anything else, honestly. But that was, that's such a shot in the dark. And then my mom was like, well, listen, we'll try, a talent agency briefly when I was like,
well, that was nice.
8 or 9 or something.
My mom would have told me to eat shit.
So we did it for like a
Love
year.
You, Mom.
I went to a few auditions. I got to like the final casting call of Leave It to Beaver, the Leave It to Beaver movie. It was like an open or a cattle call basically for Wally, the older brother.
That's hilarious.
And I got to the last group of kids, at least for that. I don't know if it was the final last group or not, but it was the final group for the cattle calls in Chicago, at least.
Okay.
And, they said, well, thank you. You're a little too young. And that could also have been, I wasn't any good either. They might have just been being nice, but it was cool. I felt
You're
like
very handsome.
I did feel like you're very good. It's a very good looking boy. Unfortunately, not good enough. Very sorry.
I'm kind of upset that it's so good.
So I think that was the first time I tasted like, okay, I mean, this didn't work, but it felt like I did something good, like it was good enough to get to a point. And it was the first time, one of the first times I've ever done it.
The fucking numbers themselves are just impossible.
And then I got
hard
into
to hold
high
yourself
school.
accountable for not getting that role.
And got into junior high, did a couple plays, and I loved that. But then once I was in high school, it was like it wasn't cool to do plays. So
were you doing musicals too? Did you ever start to like flex your voice? Like when?
No.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to go there yet.
I didn't like musicals, and I still don't. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of musicals, which seems sort of weird considering. But I find musicals to be too over the top. Sing-songy. Obviously they're sing-songy, but they're a little too over the top for me.
It's the music part I didn't like.
Yeah, it's like it's not so much like
it's
not so much the play, but it's the music. It's too. The thing I like about performance, like play performance, a theater performance, is the acting, like specifically the acting, like real, like bringing you into something that it's on a stage, it's very clearly in front of you and isn't real, but like if the acting is good enough, it makes you feel like you're in it. Mm-hmm. And with a musical, I mean, you do something similar, but I think it's more about the exuberance of the performance more so than it's about bringing you into the reality of these characters.
Take it easy up there, all right? We get it.
That's sort of like my old man of like, all right,
You're being a little too loud now. Come on, just chill out a little.
They wouldn't do that. That's not how they would approach this situation.
Yeah,
nobody would just walk out the door singing like that. That's ridiculous.
Bullshit. It was me being stupid, but I do want to see Book of Mormon though.
Oh, obviously.
And I'll probably have to wait till 2040.
They really can't. They really can't do anything wrong.
It seems
those
not.
Guys are they're locked in. They're dialed in. They've been dialed in for 40 fucking years. The guys still got their fastball. South Park's still as good as it ever was.
It's pretty nuts, man. I love watching some of the. Real quick, I feel like it's funny. Like we got about a quarter of the way through, like 12 things.
That's all right.
Which is fine.
That's the ADD of the podcast.
It's just enough for you to know.
That's fine.
Like that. Okay, we were gonna do this.
Yeah, I wouldn't think about it too much.
But I loved watching that behind the scenes thing from South Park.
To air 6 days to air or whatever.
I think where they were showing how they. Yeah, that was really cool to see there.
It was like during the first Obama election, I think. It was like 2008-ish or something.
Very specific, sort of like their process is not the same as everybody else's process.
I mean, they don't do it like that anymore, but they did it for a long time.
And there's still some stuff that carries over. And there's just a very unique way of doing it that, like, I think anybody in a television particularly that it's episodic and it's weekly, you've got to come up. There's certain things you have to do one way, but then there are a lot of things that you get to sort of figure out what's the way we're going to do it that's going to allow us to be as productive as we can be. And it's interesting to see how different people do it.
the way they did it was the right way for me.
Clearly
Wild.
something was correct.
Doesn't make any. It's a crazy thing to ask the way they did it. But anyways, to get back, like I'm glad, I'm thankful that because I was a wrestling kid. You know, I had wrestling buddies, and I had all the figures in the ring. You know,
Oh, yeah.
those are like it's like the pinnacle of my childhood is owning like the WWF ring. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
and having like certain characters, and then I kind of got out of it right before like The Rock and all, you know, the Attitude
So
Era.
that's when I got into it.
Right, that's where I was
Really,
coming out of it,
yeah.
and thankfully now my current podcasts and things that I like to listen to always tend to have wrestling people that have like a passion for wrestling that host them or that are guests on them. So now I'm kind of getting pulled back into the world, and I don't like watch it regularly, but I'll catch a pay-per-view of my brother. My brother's really into it.
Okay.
He went back and watched everything over again, like, cause now you have it on demand and all that. So the performative nature, and you were describing kind of your experience in like the kind of backyard wrestling almost, or like these kind of low key, arena.
Yeah, it was. Not to interrupt, but like it was like legit ring. Right? I mean,
Right. Not like
and we had to learn
backyard.
how to put the rings up and stuff because like there was no like road crew, so like we had to learn how to do it.
It's so regional, like it's so regional, and
Yes.
like I'd highly recommend to anyone who hasn't yet is watching that Vince McMahon documentary right in the beginning.
I have not seen that.
Okay,
yet.
so like the first episode ish.
What is it on again?
It's on Netflix, I think.
Okay, of course.
So they
That's the
go,
one I don't have. I get rid of Netflix.
they cover very in detail the way that the country was broken down in like the 60s, 70s or whatever, and then how Vince McMahon's dad kind of took over all those territories,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he was kind of a bad boy in that regard, and
Yep.
then Vince kind of really pushed it over the top. But I mean, the point I was really trying to make was what you were talking about, like the training and stuff, and the way you can hurt someone if you're not like. That's what I've learned now, because when I was into it, I was just a kid, and I was just ready to believe. I was just like,
yes, yeah.
I was like, these guys.
Well, when you're
no way,
'cause,
this
like
is
you got
fucking
into
fake.
it when you were still young enough to not really like it wasn't. Maybe it was like Santa Claus or something. Like we're
Exactly.
like,
I mean, it had the same
I
mystique
have a
to it.
feeling it's not real, but I'm still gonna believe. I think,
and then you learn now, and you talk to that, you hear guys now, and it's cool to see all these old guys going on to podcast rings and being guests on these shows and kind of talking a little bit.
that to me is one of the coolest things in the
It's
last couple
amazing to
years.
hear, like
Yeah.
some of the stories from Jake the Snake and
Hearing the Undertaker talk to
what's
like
Diamond Dallas Page is doing like the yoga thing, and it's like
that was a real. I mean, I guess not a surprise, but I did.
Terry Hulk Hogan's going on,
Yeah.
everything, like it's cool to hear these
Hulk Hogan
stories.
seems like kind of a douchebag.
Don't get me wrong, yeah,
It's
I
kind of
totally
what I've
see what
got,
you're saying,
which I wouldn't have
Yes.
thought honestly,
Yes.
because
that's fair.
Again to that same point of like
You've been through some shit, though.
nobody's anything like their persona really, except for like either a heel version of it or a face version of their persona.
Yeah.
And
It's a super fascinating sport to examine from 40-year-old shoes and 40-year-old eyes.
absolutely.
It's way more like I don't need to watch the actual shit happen anymore on TNT and wherever it's on, but watching the back stories and hearing like some of that, how shit was, kind of how they built it all, and seeing the ratings blitz, between in the 90s of WCW versus WWF, and like such great stuff. So again, that Vince McMahon documentary, I would highly recommend anyone to watch
to
that.
sort of accompany with that is on Peacock. There's like everything from WWF is on Peacock on demand, basically, and like literally everything. Every episode of
That's
Raw,
what my
every
brother did.
episode of
He went back
SmackDown.
and watched everything.
And there is a documentary on somewhere in that WWF tab or WWE tab that is like, it's called the Monday Night Wars, and it's like
Huge.
it's several episodes about that whole thing and how
Just
it all
years of
started.
dominance, and then all of a sudden WCW figured it out. They brought Nash and
then
what's his name over
and Goldberg, right? And well, they brought a bunch of people, like Nash
Diesel,
and DC,
yeah.
and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall,
that was
and
the
then
big,
obviously
the big
Hogan
two.
and Luger, and
They showed up at like
Steiner
the
and-
summer event for WWE.
Yeah,
All of a sudden, people
it was
were like, what
really
the fuck?
wacky the way they kind of just like, we'll just go there, I guess, and just do it. And WCW's popularity as it went up also kind of forced WWF to create the Attitude Era, basically, because that's what ultimately sunk WCW was WWF's Attitude Era, and then WCW not being able to or willing to kind of also mold themselves around. They just figure what we're going to do is what we're going to do. We're going to stick with NWO. We're just going to change it 3 or 4 times. Like people aren't going to notice it's the same thing. And it was a very, very interesting doc.
Man, did they
over several episodes?
Did they hit it out of the ballpark though? Over all these years, like financially, like
my God,
the money. Like, I mean, I think Vince might be a bad guy. I think he might actually be a bad person, but you crack a few eggs, I guess, when you get to be that level.
I'll tell you, it's the thing I expected to hear more people like just be like, yeah, he's a complete asshole. But like what you end up hearing,
you respect it almost.
Well, it's like to do that job particularly, it seems like you kind of have to be in some situations. But you hear more people say like, well, he's sometimes hard to deal with, but they never really. Very few people are like just outright like, I just don't like the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just like, he's a complicated person and he had to make a lot of weird decisions, and some of them I wasn't on board with, but a lot of them worked out. You know what I mean? So it's a really weird thing, because I think if you're him in any other situation, like business wise, you are just an asshole that,
True.
People just don't like.
Best gifts and memes have come out of him though. Thank God. Thank God.
Man, some of his in ring, him trying to take moves and stuff, and he just is the most uncoordinated looking person that you've ever seen, despite obviously being on steroids for a good portion of that time. He looked like he should have been more athletic
after it.
And then he gets in the ring and he just looks like a turkey walking around.
And, it totally derailed that whole conversation just to tangent off to this WWE specific thing. But yes, but I think it all came down to that thought of like the respect of the sport itself, because it's not what a lot, if you don't watch those documentaries or appreciate the sport, it's like you don't realize how much they're actually going through, how much the body's going through, how much dedication and work goes into it, the coordination, the predetermined outcome, sure. But
work.
Man, there's a lot of shit going on in between, and there's a lot of danger there.
There's a ton of stuff going on between the work that goes in before they even get in the ring, and then the amount of time that they're on the road performing, which is like 290 to 320 times a year.
It all comes back to Alex Hoffer's music career.
So, I mean, like somebody who works really hard in wrestling is playing more than I ever played gigs in my life too. You're talking 300 to 320, like easy.
Those dudes are, that was nuts.
And back in the 80s and stuff, like the popular guys are working 340.
And as a kid, you didn't know that when you're watching.
No.
When you're
half
watching
the shows you can't see anyways, because the ones that are on TV, that's the stuff you know. But then they go do like shows that aren't on TV.
You don't realize
they go
those
to
guys
Japan.
are leaving that arena to go all the way
goes,
across the country or across the world to do that.
Wrestling's
Fucking
big
wild.
in Japan too.
I have lost the thread of this conversation.
I did too.
Don't care.
I
don't even care. It's
It's
hilarious.
almost like we're crazy.
That's what I was hoping. That's what I was hoping would happen. I don't want to be a tool in here, But so the wrestling, the music, the acting, I mean, that all makes sense to me. I mean, to have like some
it makes sense to me now,
feeling
back
of
at
like
it,
performing almost.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you found like your voice, when you were like, oh,
I remember
this is how I sing?
I remember. Yes, I think it was probably around 23, 24. I mean, like I could sing fine, and maybe better than average when I was like 21, 22, 20 maybe even. But like I still just felt like I it was hard.
Did it have anything to do with like singing other people's music, or like
that was part of it for sure.
Change anything for you?
But I don't remember exactly when. But there was definitely a moment. There was like one gig at some point. I don't remember where it was. I just remember it was a gig. I don't have any other. It's weird. I can't remember like any other details other than I know I was playing a gig and I remember singing a song, and it came out from the start like. Just I wasn't trying very hard, and it just worked way better. And I was like, "Oh, I can like do that," and it
just greased it up.
Yeah, and you just that, and then going forward, then it's just like now you can belt everything, or you can quiet everything. I felt like everything was sort of a quiet yell all the time because I just didn't know how to control anything, And then it got to the point where I could do quiet and medium and loud.
Like, that's range.
It's like, whoa, this is crazy. So definitely an evolution that you could tell in your own brain, like, okay, this got better. This was like I was okay with it, and then like, oh, now we're actually working, and we can actually build some stuff maybe with this, because it's before it's just like I'd recorded some original stuff, but I even listened back to it. I mean, in the moment, I was like, you're never okay with what you did right after you do it. Obviously, like, oh, that could be better. This could be better. I heard an old recording from like when I was 21 or something. This is maybe a year ago, and I remember thinking, oh my God, that is terrible. Absolutely
just hating on yourself.
Just disgusting. It was not good. The vocals particularly were not. They just were really bad.
Just like the way you were singing, or just the writing.
It was
like,
so I was singing okay as far as like not going out of key or anything.
Okay,
but it was just so like one thing,
no spirit to
and
it.
then
No,
one thing.
Had no
because
life.
I couldn't like do this. You know, like
okay.
if you're talking about where you're at in the octave or the actual
You
like.
weren't, okay.
It was like every, you're just one noting everything and no fun
No
inflections
curves,
yeah. And it's just like, oh my God, it sounds like a weird robot singing, right? But like he's in key, but like weird robot.
I've heard. I think if I'm being specific, I think it was Ed Sheeran. Maybe talk about like you writing being like a faucet, and just get all that shitty rusty water out. Just open that fucking thing up and write, and just get that shit out. And it's gonna probably suck, and then you might run through enough water where you come up with something.
I think you probably. I mean, I can't speak for anybody else, but when you write, I think at least for me, it's been like maybe. You keep about 60% maybe, and then you still change some of that even. And then about 40 to 50%, you're just never going to be anything. But it's okay because you got an idea out and you're like, okay, you know what? Not all ideas are going to be good. Some of them just suck, but you had to get it out anyways to know that. That was a weird thing you have to learn that too, though, because you just expect everything you're going to write you're going to use
that's fucking gold, dude.
Yeah, or not even that it's great, but like, okay, well, I started, I got to finish it.
I need to use it.
Yeah, turns
or
out
else I'm going to come up with 12 songs.
Yeah, right. Turns out you don't need to finish everything. Sometimes you just need to crumple it up, throw it in the garbage, and go to and just forget about it.
Need to hear that sometimes. I think I might need to hear that sometimes. Dude, yeah, that's writing is always something that fascinated me. I've never been able to like really like dive in. I've written stuff, but it's not good, and it's not like I don't know. It didn't feel like it was natural at all when I was writing it.
You're just not happy.
It felt
with
like
it.
I was taking what other people like trying to think about other people and write something similar, rather than just like free flow thought of like.
Let me ask you, did you do it one particular, like, did you write words first and then try to write music to it, or did you?
I think that's pretty much only how I ever tried it.
So
it was just like writing words and then trying to.
I think that's the hardest way to do it. I think most people.
I gave up on that a long time
I think you'd
ago.
be surprised. Maybe if you have a dream where you go into the past or something.
Yes.
I think a lot of people. And there's certain instances where you will do it that way too, because you just have a specific idea that you just have to write it first. But I know a lot of people who they'll come up with a melody on the guitar or whatever and build a little bit there first, and then just start feeling, okay, then just let some stuff come to you, like, because that now you hear movement now already, and it makes writing words not just the way they're going to go, but even what it might be about, especially if you're not going to do some kind of a weird thing where like, oh, it's a happy sounding song, but it's about death, or something like that. But if it's going to be
jaunty number,
about death. But if it's going to be sort of about something that sounds like it makes sense with the versus the melody, like that's something that you do probably 80% of the time. You end up writing something musically first, and then that's just a nice base that now you can start writing vocal melody over it, and you just write a bunch of stuff, you throw it away, write a bunch more stuff, then you start getting actually the right lines out, and then you're okay, now we're in the first verse for real, like this is really the first 4 lines we're going to use, and then you're like, okay, now we've really started this song.
A lot of the thread of everything we're talking about and all the little topics we've kind of jumped into, to me is very thematic and like the end game, right? You're at a weekly gig or whatever. You've built up a nice following. You get a nice crowd. You're paid for it. People appreciate what you're doing. They come to watch you. They fill the seats up on whatever Friday or Saturday. The wrestling thing. It's like that consuming audience, all these things, they have a very thematic nature in this, like the writing process. Nobody gives a shit about the writing process that's sitting in that seat watching you.
No.
For the most part.
Or
90% of those
they're
people
not
are not
thinking about
thinking.
it. Yeah, they're not thinking about
Wonder
it.
what he was doing or what happened to him. You know,
Yeah.
They watch the wrestling and they're like, oh, this is a fucking crazy entertainment. There's a guy on a cage and he's jumping, elbowing another dude. He's bloodied, and nobody's thinking about like the training that went into it, and all the mental, kind of push through that these guys are going through to finish this match, and it's match number 365 out of a 370 night tour. Or
the crazy thing about some of the wrestling stuff too is, man, like if you're setting up for a spot to do like jumping off of a ladder outside of the ring through tables, like you don't practice that. You just have to set up the distance and like you might jump in the ring just to figure out how far you can jump.
You might only have one shot at this one.
Right. So you're not going to practice that because if you're going to get hurt, you're going to get hurt at the gig doing it, not. It's weird because that's something I was always curious about having wrestled was like, well, how do you practice those spots? Because like you're not going to just set up 3 tables at the here and just jump through them. You don't. You just figure out the distance and you practice jumping that far into something not dangerous, and then you just hope it works.
Hope you can apply it.
Yeah, and you don't screw up, the takeoff basically.
What derailed the wrestling stuff? We were talking about the ACL, and I think I kind of sidetracked you.
That's when I stopped. I mean, like I had to. So
your parents don't know about this.
They found out after that,
right?
So I
medical bills
tore my ACL, and at first, I didn't know. I knew something was wrong because we were all going. It was like a line drill thing. We were all doing the same thing, going back and forth. Round and round. You just do it, and we were doing an off the top rope axe handle. And then the teacher is in the middle of the ring, and he's going to give you like a stomach shot, and then you're going to do a front flip over and do a bump on your back.
Okay.
So we all did it. I did it a couple times. It was my 3rd time through, and I came off. And as soon as I landed, like my knee just like buckled in and out, and I still made it over, luckily. But I was like, I don't know. I must have made a sound or something. But I heard it. I heard my knee do something, and I was like. I kind of winced or something, and I looked up and I was like, something's bad. So I rolled out of the ring, and somebody helped me over to a couch, and I kind of sat down, put my leg up, and I just was thinking the rest of the day, like the rest of the evening before the night was over there, my God, I hope this isn't like serious. Hope this isn't bad. I got in my truck and drove it home, which I probably shouldn't have done. And then the next day I woke up and my knee was about the size of a volleyball.
Whoa.
So I was like, I got to tell my mom now.
I think something's wrong, Mom.
Hey, Mom. I think I might have tore my.
Did you tell her how you did it right away?
I was trying to figure out if I could get away with not. And then like, I obviously wasn't at football practice at 8:30 at night. So like, that's not going to work. So I did have to tell her like kind of what happened. I was trying my hardest to figure out, can I get away with not, not telling what this was.
I slipped.
Like, it doesn't matter how I did it, really. You know what I mean? Like, we're still got to fix it,
What Mama don't know.
That's right.
It's a Roy Orbison tattoo.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Coach, what's that on your butt?
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, so I don't even know where I was going with that. After, 16 years old. She said no more. We're not. No more ACL blowouts. I'm done with wrestling. I will watch it from afar.
Yeah, I was playing football at the time too, and granted, I didn't start in football. I did play a little bit here and there, so like I couldn't do that either. So that was another thing too. I felt kind of bad. Like I couldn't even help there, for the rest of the year because I screwed myself up. So it was like, okay, I mean, if I hadn't hurt myself, I'd have kept doing it. But if I hurt myself out of something that easy, like, that's not something that I should have torn my ACL doing. I inherited bad joints from my biological father. Yeah.
Is that legit?
That's like a legit problem.
You still feel like you're experiencing that even more now?
For instance, I've got some vertebra issues in my neck. I've actually got arthritis in 2 of my, which I shouldn't. I'm too young for that. The guy's like, "There's no reason you should have this here." Like, it's kind of weird.
In your neck.
Yes, C5 and C6, 2 arthritic points in my neck there, and the spurs, and I'm compressed there.
Man, hanging that guitar over you.
That a little bit, nights. But still, that's way
pounding that stage with that little
pounding what
beat
now?
Foot.
It's still way too aggressive for the age that I am. So like that just kind of drove home. Like, okay, that stuff I heard from my mom about, well, you're gonna have bad joints. Your dad did. I'm like, okay, whatever. Well, yeah, I tore that ACL when I was in junior high. I sprained my MCL and my PCL on my other knee just in the playground, just running, and I ran into a hole and just like twisted my knee. So I was always destined to just suck physically.
Really?
I knew it.
At least for like, a lot of moving.
Okay.
I'm very coordinated though. I'll give you that. I
mean, guitar playing, all that. That's very cool.
I catch a lot of shit when it's falling. And
That's good.
Like, oh, like just randomly. I'm
You
good
feel
at
like
that.
a fucking superhero too.
In those moments, you do. You're
It's
like,
a big dick feeling. You're always looking like, is there a camera? Did anybody see that?
You're like,
Did anybody notice? Like,
see, like nobody cares. It's just a ball.
nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but if you just saw it,
Dotson, we got Dotson here. See, nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares.
You know what movie that's from?
Nope, I got nothing.
Jurassic Park.
Oh, damn it! What part of Jurassic Park is that?
Dennis Nedry is sitting at the table in Costa Rica waiting for his contact to come so he can give him the eggs or what the cell
The
sample.
Barbasol.
Yeah.
The Barbasol.
And he's like,
container.
Dotson. Yeah. And the guy's like, I wish you wouldn't use my name. He's like, nobody knows who you are.
Oh, that's right. Yep. I know the
Dotson, we
scene
got
now.
Dotson over here.
Yeah.
See, nobody cares.
Newman.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all about Newman. That's the only way I can reference him. So, all right, we traveled down this music path. I'm sure we'll come back to it. We'll talk about it some more. I mean, it's a huge part of your life. I mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess before I come off of it, describe like what goes through your head when you're thinking about like, okay, this is what I'm doing for financial, like this is my life, like this, so it's not the same as somebody who's just playing a gig every now and again, or they got a job at fucking the Best Western too.
Yeah, it's definitely different because there's zero job security whatsoever. There are no benefits. There are no when you're
didn't see that pandemic coming.
When you're in your 20s too, unless somebody tells you about it, you don't even know that that's a thing you should be paying attention to, which of course I didn't. And you kind of just for the first 5 or 6 years I kind of just figured out how to survive, basically.
Did you ever like go to fucking or the holidays are coming up, right? You ever go to Thanksgiving and be like, so what do you do, Alex? Like family members?
Yeah, I always have to
do that for life. What?
Yeah, oh yeah, I had to I was pretty crafty about well, no, it's going good. It's going real good. And then just that's it.
Just move on.
And nobody's like willing to press you more than that. So like I'm not going to I had a couple of family members who would occasionally be like, "So you still doing the music thing?" I'm like, "Yep."
What do you ever get like
Just
that little flash of red in your brain, like don't demean what I do.
So only not with my family. I don't, because I think they really just mean well for the most part. And to be fair too, some other family members are super supportive, maybe even overly supportive about it too.
And how miserable are you at your desk every day, bud?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I want to say. But like, there's a trade-off, right? There's a total trade-off for one thing to another. Yeah. Like I have a lot more freedom than a lot of other people do, but I also have a lot less security than a lot of other people.
Creative.
Do. So there, like I said, the trade-off is something that I think when I was younger I was willing to give up, and now that I'm getting older and doing it for so long, I still want to play music. I just don't want to do it as much. I want to play more specific shows, and I want to spend more time not doing anything also any more security driven. But I've got at least 3 other things that
avenues.
That I really am passionate about, but I struggle to find the time to really dedicate enough resources and time to it to make them as good as they could be.
I'll say this: you're good at all of them. I think
Well, I think I'm good enough at. I think I don't know, growing up was an interesting experience in general. So like, I think I had to be able to figure shit out on my own and make it work. So I think I can make anything work. Honestly, it's just.
What do you mean by that? Like was it just a situation where you were kind of like just left to your own devices? You had to figure shit out, or like
it was a very turbulent youth, I would say, in the house and stuff. So like you just had to make the best of shit, and I think doing music was therapeutic for one, but it was also it was hard. So like I had to figure out how to do that, and make it work. And like I said, I was an idiot. I drank too much and did some other stuff. So like I thought this is like a few years back, but I was thinking about, man, I didn't realize how much money I'd actually pissed away between like 21 and 28 until I really realized, like, once I stopped doing dumb shit, I got to the point where I was like, I kept having more money every month.
You were
like,
reflecting.
I was, this is weird. Like, I'm not used to having more money than I had the month before every month. That doesn't normally happen. And that was happening regularly all of a sudden. I'm like, oh my God, I know what it was.
Jameson.
It was
God
Jameson and
damn it.
Jameson and cocaine,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Jameson and keeping my eyes wide open.
Oh my God.
What is cocaine like? I've honestly never done it.
It's amazing.
Yes, that's what I hear.
It really, I mean, it's a hell of a lot of fun. I think when you first start, dabbling in it, and then if you're with a small group of people, but it it's expensive. It's expensive.
Well, the common stereotype on it is always like the idea guy that's like, oh, I got a fucking idea. Like, I got to pitch you this. Like the
Yeah, and which is sort of true and sort of not true, depending on where the person is that's doing it. Like, I did too much that night is in their like course of using that, whether they're at the beginning of the stage or towards the end of like using.
There's some waves to it, huh?
Yeah, and I think when you're at the beginning, what you end up doing is you don't even realize what you sound like or look like when you're doing. So you're like, so here's the thing. What I realize is this: it's not even that you're talking too fast; it's that you're
just like overdoing everything.
your mouth moves
like a musical.
Even when you're not moving your mouth is moving for some reason. So like that, I never. That was something that like I don't think happened. Like my jaw, they call it jaw jacking. I think.
Okay.
That was never something that happened to me like much, but I knew people. It was like, Jesus Christ, dude, you need to like chill out a little bit.
Take it down a notch.
So maybe hold back on the next one a little, But yeah, I got
Expensive.
I got exposed to it through music too, and that's still my fault for getting into it. But it's really expensive.
Name me one good musician that wasn't jacked on cocaine at some point.
Let me
in
name
their
you one that
career.
isn't. Yeah, exactly. It's very expensive, and if you start using it as a way to enjoy your night, then you just start like, okay, I'm going to get this so I can go do that.
Red
right?
flag.
Yeah, which is no good. And the weird thing is like, so I quit doing it probably in like 2018, 2017, completely for a while. And then I'll be honest with you, in the last several years, 4 or 5 years, I've probably done it 2 or 3 more times. But it's been like
Just a little bit.
at a big show. Someone's like, "Hey, do you want a little bump?" I'm like, "Fuck, okay." Tried it, and it's like, and then you can do it, and then go play, and then hang out for another hour, before everybody leaves, and then you get your shit packed up and you go home. I couldn't have done that like 8 years ago. That would have been me.
You're rolling the dice with the fucking fentanyl shit these days, though.
Well, here's
currently,
the thing.
I don't know.
The other thing is that's another good point is that you knowing who you get it from is a big deal. Mainly for that reason, but also for like, do you want it to be actually enjoyable, or do you want it to be like you just took speed, basically, which are two very different things. Okay. Chemically speaking, they're two very different things. They might seem on the surface like they do the same thing, but they don't.
Okay.
So I'm not. Let me just be.
Everybody's on Adderall.
Let me be very clear. I'm not advocating for any of this.
Sure, yeah.
No.
Whisper it. No. Whisper it.
Nobody wants to do that. I promise you that. Okay, listen.
But if I did, it would be great.
I know a guy. I got a guy. Not that kind of guy.
Yeah, if I did, it'd be the best. Yeah, that's one I never got into.
It's good. That's a good thing.
I've seen it. I've seen the people. I don't. I'm not like you get
I've
those
seen the people.
that tell
They're
the
bringing
story.
in the drugs.
Yeah, they're eating the cats.
You're eating the cats.
So, and you've seen some, the story. A lot of people have that story of like, yeah, we saw him go downhill. Like, I saw some friends doing it.
Yeah,
didn't ruin them.
I think that's the thing that people don't realize about. I mean, listen, again, I'm not going to say anything good about it. The thing about it is, it's not like heroin or meth, where like it just takes you and then you're just gone from everyone's lives.
Yeah.
I mean, it can do that to some people. There's no doubt.
With a beer I have 6 of every night. Yeah, no.
Like I knew some people who like it. Definitely that was a big part of their lives. But
yeah,
to be completely honest, what started that for them also was alcohol. Like super hard alcohol addiction led to more aggressive cocaine addiction. The point being, though,
Which is wild.
is it's a drug that is just under the threshold enough to where like you can still do anything you normally are doing, and you can, for the most part, hide it from people if you really want to, or if you don't give a shit, you don't. But it's some people can use that shit like sometimes, and just it's not a problem. Some people can't. Most people, I think, just don't try it because they're too scared to what's going to happen. You know what I mean? And that's the right mindset.
I'm lucky to be afraid of needles, and I don't like the feeling of things going up my nose. So it's like, I feel like it worked out for me really well on the drug side of things. But
Intravenous
I do love my
drugs,
alcohols.
I don't even get intravenous drug use. Like, I mean, that's a tough
Fucks me
one
up
to
just
understand.
thinking about it.
Yeah, like I inject. That's tough. That's a tough sell, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's one I try to. Haven't really been around a lot of it, thankfully. So that's fine. I'm always curious about cocaine use, just because like some people say it will have like an after effect like next day, not like hangover, but like some people say no, I
think yes, it does definitely. It depends on how much of it you use it.
It's like anything else.
You're
what'd
using
you eat? What'd you drink? What'd you do with it?
Also, it's. I mean, I don't care who you are. Some people might just be negating like the fact of how much they could have done the next day had they not done it, because the reality is it uses up serotonin, it uses up good feeling stuff in your brain,
all the good stuff. Huh?
So you're going to be a little laggy. That might be enough for someone to say, yeah, it's a full hangover, but like it's definitely going to affect you the next day. Yeah. Not the same way as like a traditional hangover does, maybe if it's the only thing you did. Yeah. But I mean, you're almost a psychopath if you're just doing cocaine and not having drinks with it. You know what I mean? To be honest,
tons of factors go in there too. Yeah. How late you stay out, I mean, especially.
You're right.
Dude, how about now? You were just talking about being almost 40 now. Like you're hitting 40 soon. I'm 40. It is a different ball game now.
Yes,
depending on your sleep patterns and like
you've got to get sleep.
And you got shitty joints as it is. It's not a great feeling.
I got
sometimes
these garbage joints,
Pair that with a hangover,
no fun,
and like no sleep type hangover. Like I was out till like 2 a.m. the other night. I haven't done that in a long time. That used to be standard. That used to be standard issue.
Well, but you were out drinking till 2 a.m.
Yeah. Well, I bartended until 11, and some customers were like, "Hey, we're going to the next whiskey bar. Come have an old fashioned with us."
Oh, were you at Solemn Oath? Or I
was at Workforce.
I live right across the street from there.
You got to come see me. I'll be there Friday and Saturday. I know. I figured that.
Oh, well, you wait till Friday. I think I'm off actually.
Friday and Saturday, I'll be there.
I'll come see you on
That's
Friday.
The first beer that we had. Some air duct.
I like their
scam.
beers. I do like
air
their
duct
beers.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh
shit, you don't have any beer.
I do. I've got your sake though.
Perfect. Cheers.
Thanks for bringing the sake, by the way.
Absolutely.
I kind of almost expected you to be like the one that's like, let me get you something that you don't normally drink.
Man,
you're that guy.
I am a fucking weirdo. And
no, it's not a weirdo. That's like you're mentally like open. You see things more creatively, I think, than others do.
I'm
like,
just
let me bring Joe craft beer that he's
that was sort
in
of
every day of his life.
Like, that was sort of the thing. I mean, I noticed that you'd had multiple people on, and you guys were having beer, and I know how long you've been involved in beer in general. So I was like, okay, I'm going to ask if it's cool to bring something first, but then I was like, if I'm going to bring something, it's got to be something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And this is what if I do drink now at home, this is what I prefer. And I think
classy son of a bitch.
It's not, and this is like
I know it's not like
a $15 bottle, $16 bottle,
whatever.
So it's not even that expensive. This one, but like you can get just like we talked about this upstai's before we came, or upstairs. I feel like this is down. I don't know why I feel like this is downstairs.
It should be in a basement. You're right. It should be in a basement.
Well, a lot of studios are
cut off the lights.
But we were talking about it earlier, and it's like the first time you like so many alcohols that you have for the first time end up not being like a good version of it. So you're like, I'm not really into wine, or I'm not really into this. And you don't even realize that you had a shit version of whatever that thing was. So when you finally have like good red wine for the first time,
I don't really like.
Holy shit, this is really good.
I don't do tequila. And I'm guilty of it too with
liquor, particularly.
Specifically lately that I was guilty of it was I'm always on that white wine guy.
Yeah.
I tried some fucking incredible. I was like, white wine can also be this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think white wine was probably my last like
Like hurdle.
Yeah, for alcohol, like finding the like I can enjoy one version of any kind of alcohol. I just had to find each one, and white wine was the last one.
Yep.
You know, I think for me,
I was really hard on white wine. I was very
too.
like, give me a cab, Pinot Noir, whatever. I'll take Merlots, any of that.
your little
And
Malbec.
I'll be happy as shit. Give me a Syrah.
Oh, Petite Syrah.
Yeah. So that we went to shout out to my friend Dan Rusnick, who's co-owner of Wine Thief out in the Frankfurt area. But they do at CD and Me, they do a thing every year, a big wine festival. Like 4 or 5 years they've been doing this. It's like 100 different wines there, and it was like,
That's cool.
you know, I'm a beer guy, so like I know what beer festivals look like.
Yeah.
And it was like it was kind of similar. It was pretty similar, like in the way you got it, but there's more interaction with the people pouring it for you and more talk. And like I had some shit from France that was like blew my mind.
Was it a Bordeaux by chance?
No, it was like a white.
Right, it was
just
a white.
like
Yeah.
kinda, I don't even
Do you have
remember. I wish
locks
I
on
would
these
have wrote it
wheels?
down.
Is that what's going on?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's probably just the carpet brother.
Cool.
But so anyways,
Sorry.
No,
I didn't mean to.
don't apologize.
My apologies.
I prefer that in the podcast when people like don't worry about.
That's
like,
just what
don't
this
worry
is pretty
about, like,
common. This is pretty
like
common.
I've gotten up. I'm like, please keep talking. I have to close this window. Like, you know,
I just
I'm
say
like,
whatever
It's got to
comes.
be authentic.
I don't like.
If it's not authentic, then I don't want to do it. If, like, that requires too much editing to be inauthentic and all that. Like I'd rather shoot it and then be like, all right, sure, we had to cut the front and the back
Here's
off.
the thing,
but
Joe.
I don't want.
We're having a conversation, and
right,
that
exactly.
means I'm supposed to like when
That's
like,
the goal.
There's a back and forth, right?
If you and I were at a bar having this conversation, these are the kind of shit that would happen. We'd get distracted by something.
I'm listening to this wonderful story about how you became to love white wine. I'm like, are there locks on these wheels down here in this chair? Like
having a panic attack. Like it's fucking
Jesus
locks.
Christ, I gotta just.
Joe would
chill
be the kind of
fuck out.
dickhead that would lock his wheels before I sit down.
Did you
in
lock
this
these on me
chair.
on purpose? Is that what happened?
Yeah, so I don't.
anyways, yeah.
And I won't say it like I have a love for it now. I'm still pretty locked into the cabs.
Sure.
Some Spanish blends I've been really liking, thanks to friends recommending them. But man, wine was the whole thing. I was like, yeah, it's fine. Now I really like it. I'm staying away from getting hobbyist to it because I did that with bourbon. I did that. I've been doing that with beer for
Bourbon
years.
can get tricky if you get too hobbyist with it. Obviously, you know.
I'm so tired of bourbon. I love it, but I'm so tired
prefer-
of the way it is now. It's not. I'm not going to even. Talk
Irish
about
whiskeys, I've always liked better than
It. Yeah, see,
bourbon.
it's never been my thing. I do like Irish whiskey, like I always, but that was like shots. You know, I liked Jameson.
So,
like
no,
we've been talking about.
yeah,
Like we've been talking about.
and
Like
that was
you have
how
a
I-
shitty version of something, or you
Which
not that
means-
Jameson shitty, but
but
the way you approach it.
But to an extent, it is shitty. But it's like the best shitty thing
Right
out there.
right,
Jameson
exactly.
and Tullamore Dew is a good
Yes.
example. Tullamore Dew is like better than Jameson.
Tullamore Dew.
Tullamore
You need to do those commercials. That'll be your next gig.
But it's interesting because, like, getting some good Irish whiskey and then sipping on that, like Redbreast or
Yes.
Teeling, is good too. But I think
like
I think
Redbreast.
people, I think Redbreast is way better than Teeling personally.
I don't know if I'm familiar
Green,
with Teeling.
Green Spot is another really good one.
Yeah.
But when you have those, you
When
realize
you're sipping on them and you're
Yeah.
doing them the right way. Like
you realize
there's
where
levels
people
to
come
all
from.
this shit, man.
Yep.
There's so many levels to it.
All of those two are a little bit sweeter, kind of on the palate, and they're a little smoother. Like bourbon, I have liked bourbons a lot, but generally speaking, I don't like the sour kind of just natural burn that comes with a bourbon over a really smooth Irish whiskey. Doesn't burn the same way. It's much more mellow. It's
There's
much
levels
more
to all
mild.
that too.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
mean, a lot of the
Yeah.
bourbon game is chasing higher proofs and bigger burns and
Or
rise and
if
spice.
if it's sour mash, I just don't give a shit about it. Basically, period. I don't want it if it's sour mash at all. Corn, sour mash. Yeah.
yeah, so many of these things that we are into, that you're into, that I'm into, like guitars. I mean, but if you want to buy an acoustic guitar and you're like, hey, no brainer, like get a Martin or a Taylor, and there's shitty versions of those guitars, and there's shitty versions of those brands of guitars, and then there's guitars brands you've never heard of that could blow your fucking mind. You
Absolutely.
know?
Gibson. I mean, everybody's heard of Gibson, but I think
never
Taylor
heard
and Martin. Obviously, that's what we all knew, and I never even thought about Gibson as an acoustic
Like an
guitar,
acoustic option.
which is weird. 'cause
I always did, but they always struck me as expensive. I was always
you know why?
too
Because
expensive.
they didn't make as many lower end versions. So the only ones you ever saw
They
were
never
higher
made
end.
it attainable for like
Not
the
really.
hobbyists.
Which,
that,
in a way, is means like, okay, well, I mean, they're not gonna make shit versions of stuff. Which is, point being, I bought one. It's a J45, Gibson J45, and I beat the shit out of this guitar every year.
I remember
every year
seeing it.
Oh my god! Every year I need to have it. I need it at the like around now. So like probably in a couple of weeks when
Sweet love.
I need to give it away to somebody for like 4 or 5 days and just let them fix it.
Who do you send it to?
I
Should
now
we shout them out.
Generally speaking, I try to go to Down Home Guitars in downtown Frankfurt.
Okay.
A guy named Steve Habrichter runs that shop.
Is he like a luthier?
He's personally not a luthier, but the guy who works for him
gives it
is.
to him.
I think his name's Fred. I might be screwing that
Did you
up.
ever go to J&B for Joe?
No,
You know
no.
Joe over at J&B Music?
No.
The man, Joe Latino.
Joe Latino.
He's not like
Oh, wait.
luthier, but he's a musician. But
I know
they
Joe.
own
Yeah, I do
J&B
know
Music
Joe Latino.
Lessons. Yeah.
I don't know him real well, but I definitely know. I
Yeah.
definitely know him.
Joe's outstanding.
Okay.
But that's usually if I need like a setup or something. I don't know how deep he goes. You know, it's not like going to fucking Third Coast in the city or going to like Chicago Music Exchange and
He goes
having
real deep.
He goes so deep, so deep.
It was open.
So, anyways, so you go down to Frankfurt. Right?
Yeah,
That's
go down good. That's usually where I go. I found a guy also because I live in Plainfield now, and I found a guy in Plainfield, like down the street from where I live, that just does it out of his house. It's just like
It's almost better.
and he's really good. The problem is sometimes he might not be able to guarantee that I can get it back after a week.
And you're a musician. that
Yeah, so it's
relies
like
on
that'd be
weekly
great if I could
playing.
because it's a little cheaper, but it's every bit as good quality. It's just like the timing is he has a lot of people that he works for or he does work for rather. So it's really cool. It's just like I can't always use them. I'd love to because it's close and it's a small time thing. I mean,
You gotta love that.
Down
right?
Home is a small shop too, relatively speaking,
Yeah.
but they're a really good shop
It's a
for
business.
They're also a great shop for really good high end acoustic instruments in general. And Steve Habrichter is an amazing
Is that
musician.
the one that's in the little trolley station
Yes,
area?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
See, yeah, that's a beautiful little shop too.
So
Yeah,
you've
it's
been
cool.
in there. I mean,
Well, the guys who I just shouted out that own Wine Thief and Crafted, they own Cultivate Community Table. That's in that.
Okay,
in
okay.
that same.
Is
they're
that-
right across the hall.
is that place newer a little bit?
Newer, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep,
okay.
it's
'cause
newer,
I
yep.
think the last time I went
Last
in there,
4 or 5 years maybe.
yeah. I think I
It
was
used
there
to be
3 years
White
ago.
Street Cafe, I think they used to call
Yeah.
it or
It's
something.
like a
The lady
coffee
owned
house
it
with
for a long
sandwiches and
time.
stuff, right?
Lady owned
Before.
it. Yeah, the lady owned it for a long time. But
God
now it's
bless
all
you.
craft beer focused, cool dishes. But they also own the Wine Thief now in Frankfurt. Anyways, yes, cool guitar shop.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
always
awesome
have like the
place.
nice stuff hanging on the walls.
You just want to go somewhere and like, not all their guitars can you just pick up and play. I mean, all of them you're supposed to ask about, but if you want to just play something that feel like, holy shit, this is again to the point of like when you have something that's the really good version of for the first time. You go in there if you've always played acoustic a little bit, but never exclusively, and just never felt like this. Nah, I haven't played one that really struck out at me. Go there and like play a few guitars,
Get touchy.
and
Get
you
feely.
will your mindset will change about what you think an acoustic guitar or an acoustic instrument in general will sound like or should sound like. I guess it'd be like, holy shit, that how does that come out of that thing?
It just stuck out to me the way you mentioned that about like Jameson, being like, yeah, it's it's a common version, but it means it was good. It is good. Like
it's
it is
good.
a good
It's better
thing.
than Jack Daniels is
It's better
compared
than
to
most things in their genre. Or
like it's like barefoot red
like-
wine or something. Is like it's so far away from like good, maybe not bare
High end.
You know what I mean? Like I'm just using. I don't think I've ever had
Josh.
barefoot wine, but
You've
yeah,
had
Josh
Lots of
Sellers.
Josh. Yeah. But
They do have a fancy label though. I'll
but
give
I
them
mean, like a guitar, it's like Martin. Yes, it can be the best if and it can be just a really good brand that's solid.
that. I think any Martin, any Gibson, any Taylor, any Guild can be the
Guilds.
best.
I forgot about Guilds.
Guild's a good brand too. They got some good stuff.
Forgot about Guilds.
But-
They're awesome.
But to Guild's point, I think it depends on what sound you're trying to make too.
That's a
because
big thing,
everybody
right?
the way like if you play stuff up here mainly and maybe come down here a little bit, but are more the top side of the neck most of the time, you're going to like one kind of guitar a lot more than you're going to like another because
I
of
always associated that with Taylors. I don't know why.
Taylors
Like big,
are
bright. Like,
yes, 100% because
chingy ching
because this stuff
and-
is rings real loud and through. It's great for a lot of like singer songwriters use Taylors.
I always associated Martins with like a good bass feel to them. But
So like country and rock singers, you will use a lot of Taylors because they're up here, but they're also it's bright and kind of closer to the timbre of their voice. I feel like, and then like you've got like your more like let's see, I don't know what to say, like singer songwriter, but like bluegrass and even like non bluegrass, but just like storyteller, singer songwriter, kind of folk. They're going to gravitate more
Americana.
towards. Yeah, there you go. Americana's better. They're going to gravitate more towards Martin Gibson, and more so Martin, I think, because it's that like kind of earthy,
yeah,
like kind of lower sound, which is why I always liked Martin.
I always associated with that bassy kind of feel.
Yeah.
I always Gibson. I don't know how I associate them. They always felt big.
They're
always felt
loud.
like big
They're
guitars.
loud. They
Big
kind of
body, and I mean, there's cut out versions of them, obviously, but you always felt like it was like the big. I always picture that type of guitar.
Yeah.
When I think of a Gibson acoustic,
they're also they're like Gibson. The reason I got the Gibson I got was mainly because at the time too I was playing a lot of shows with the band, and excuse me, the tone for that
don't
guitar,
run away from your mic.
the tone of that guitar was such that it would cut through.
You could hang. Huh?
Yeah, the frequency tone for it was just in a good spot where you didn't have to over EQ it to get it to like sit somewhere away from the bass player, lead guitar player, and the drums and stuff. It was kind of already in its own section where if playing a Martin with a band is really tough to EQ well, at least.
Okay.
Because that it sits so naturally closer to like a bass guitar and it's in that mid-low bass range. And then Taylor, conversely,
Never thought about it.
will conflict maybe a little bit less, but more so on like lead guitars. They're like Telecaster lead guitars and like hi-hats and drums.
They're just
like
too,
high
too
drums.
similar almost. Like they're just like
Yeah, we're
riding
talking
the
about
same
like
party.
Yeah, so what we're talking
Clogging
about
up
is
the frequencies, man.
if you got four things in the mix, right? They're all supposed to kind of be in their own little spot somewhere, right? And Martins and Taylors, I think specifically, sit in a very specific place that is generally close to other things. Sometimes Martin's is worse than Taylor is for this too, for band settings, because it's just like it's so close to like where bass and tom drums and stuff like that, like you got to really EQ stuff out really nicely, and they feed back a lot because of that. If you're not careful when you're on stage, if you don't have a lot of room, you'll see people use them on stage with a band, but it's usually a quiet band. If it's a loud band, you're seeing Taylor or Gibson, a lot of times Gibson, because Gibson, they're loud enough.
Or they just shut the fucking acoustic off.
And they
you
just
can hold
play-
it. You can strum it.
Just play.
But nobody's
something
gonna
over the
hear
back of it. Yeah.
We're gonna rip. We're gonna rip right over the top of you. Just make sure your vocals are on point. All right, one more music story before we ride off into another area. But do you remember? I mean, this had to be like 2013, 2014, maybe.
I might not
2015. So you actually probably have no idea, but you played a little bit of a role in my craft beer love.
Yeah.
A very odd way too. Do you remember the snowstorm? You forgot a guitar. You were playing somewhere in the city. And I drove a guitar out to you.
Yes.
And it was like a fucking blizzard.
Was I at?
It was a little spot in Chicago, and I do not remember.
Yeah,
it.
no, I remember. It was the store.
Yeah, that sounds like something. I just remember that when I walked in there,
It was in a back room. I was playing in a back room kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like the bar was here, and then you kind of go back to the left.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just starting to get into like Lagunitas and some of like the bigger craft brands that are local.
I forgot that you did that. I forgot about that completely, but I somehow remembered.
I think I brought one of my Martin or whatever. I had like an Arena one. It's
Were
like
you
a shitty
in the city already? Is that-
No, I was at home. I was at home. I saw you post something maybe, and I like reached out to you. And I was like, hey, I wasn't doing anything.
Yes.
So, but I remember going in there, and it was like I knew what Antihero was. I knew like Revolution existed, but that bar for some reason had multiple Revolutions on tap, and they had like a big Revolution neon with the fist.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where I like first had like a Revolution on draft that wasn't anti-hero, that I was like, I just like totally started to fall in love with like what they were doing.
Yeah.
And that kind of was like one of the early sparks for me to really start getting into craft beer. And it happened in that weird night where I like drove in a snowstorm. Well, the snowstorm was over. There was just snow everywhere. They just got home.
Okay, I was like,
They were just coming back from the store.
dog didn't just
No.
fall down the stairs or something.
No. Poor Thor. Look, he's like, you asking about me?
What's up, dude?
You asking about me right now? Yeah, I'm right. I'm still here. He's protecting the house.
Just rubbing your bones.
Yeah. So
That sounds
anyways, sorry. That was a weird story, but
That was
I just thought
awesome.
It was funny.
That's really cool because
It was connected to my beer journey.
that was definitely back in a time when like I don't remember a lot of stuff.
Well, that's good.
'cause I'm
Good
an
for
idiot.
you.
But
Good
I
for
do.
you.
I totally remember that. I mean, I wouldn't have it unless you said it. But as you kept filling me in on some things, it started coming back to me more and more. And that was I'm 99% sure the name of that place was the store.
Long time ago. Long time ago.
Yeah, on Lincoln maybe.
Could be. Sure. Why not?
I don't even know if that place is there anymore.
So what I was really wanting to transition to is, so I don't remember if this was exactly during or sparked by, and we've already covered a little bit, but with the pandemic type shit, because every episode so far, this will be the 11th episode of this version of the podcast, and it's like everything's got a version of during COVID ...
Sure,
right?
yeah.
So during COVID ...
Hard
is
not
that when
to.
you started the food stuff?
No, I mean.
So you're a little bit before, a little bit after.
Way after, actually. I mean, but like in a sense, yes. But I didn't put a channel up about it until well after the fact. But when COVID
You always
happened,
dabbled in food.
no, I never dabbled in food until
Okay.
COVID. So that's how me getting into cooking started. It was COVID.
I'll put a beer in there if you want half of that. That's
sure.
just an Old Stone IPA that
I like Old
a little variety pack that I found at the store the other day.
So when COVID happened, obviously it was like everyone else, I had a lot of time on my hands. Here, there's still a lot more there. If you want to put that in there.
Fine.
So, like a lot of people had a lot of time, and I'd always wanted to learn how to cook, even if just basically learn how to cook, but I just never thought about it much, prior to that. And then I was like, well, I've got all this time, might as well try some shit. So, started looking up some real basic recipes for things, mainly cooking meat because I like meat. I like to eat meat.
I'm the same way.
Listen, I like to eat meat.
It's not like I'm a fucking alpha dog. I like meat.
Yeah.
Like,
I
it's
like
just like
meat.
I don't know. I just always like meat.
It's just
Like, I don't
really
know.
tasty. And listen, I've got teeth for it, and it all makes sense. So I'm gonna go ahead and eat it. And then I also like vegetables too, though. I mean, I like them. I like all of it, basically. So I started to learn how to cook a little bit, and spatchcocked my first chicken. That sounds like a dirty thing, but it's not dirty. I promise you.
No, I can prove it.
If you're
It's,
not familiar with
yeah,
spatchcock, there is a spatch. Yeah, there is a. I forgot I did it. I did
That's
do
you
a video.
spatchcocking right there.
Yeah, I done just spatchcock that little baby.
So real quick before you get back into spatchcocking, Now We're Cooking is your channel. If anybody's interested and wants to go check it out, give it a little subscribe, a little check it
Now
out to
we're
Mr.
cooking.
Alex.
Now we're cooking.
So if you like
with a
this
G.
voice that you're hearing and this
yeah.
beautiful man, his bald face and head,
Bald
well,
face?
not a bald face. I guess
My
your
face
is
isn't
not
bald.
at
Listen
all.
here, you son of a
Yeah,
gun.
sorry about that.
Jeez Louise.
Beautiful beard.
Thank you.
Yes, you can watch him make some different dishes. But now we're cooking. Now we're cooking.
Now
This is
we're
just like you
cooking.
think
WE''RE.
If you want to see the size of his spatchcock,
That's right.
you
If
can
you,
tune in.
if you want to check
That's
out my
the
spatchcock,
OnlyFans.
this is
That's
the right place to do it.
OnlyFans.
It's actually the ASMR thing. You just hear me cracking through bones as I'm cutting.
Yeah. So wait, the spatchcocking was kind of a jumping off point for you to get
A little
further
bit,
in,
because it was
Or
the
this
first
was-
time I realized I always liked chicken, like whole chicken, but it's like there's always parts of it like that I'm going to stay away from it because it's shit,
Yeah.
But when you spatchcock, everything just cooks. So if you're not familiar with what spatchcocking is, it's splitting the back of the bird at the bone and then bringing it out, butterflying it essentially, so that both halves of the chicken are facing upright, face up.
They're even and cooking correctly.
Exactly, they're even cooking correctly. There's also no cavity inside of the thing that's also sucking up, usable hot air and just essentially cooling it down as it comes inside of it. So you've got this.
I'm gonna isolate that. It comes inside of it.
I knew when I said it, it sounded bad.
crazy.
But when you cook it that way, you get a more. All of the skin can get crispy this way, not just the top and part of the sides.
And if you're not eating the skin, you can go fuck yourself.
I 100% agree. 100% agree.
best.
Also, another little tip for you: if you haven't done this, get your skin right. Get your fingers under that skin.
Yes.
Right. Get your fingers under it. Release the skin from the meat.
Getting some butter too.
Release the skin.
We add some butter.
You can do a lot of
every
things.
now and again.
Butter is always a good way to go.
Last time I did it, that's how I did. I went
personally-
under there and separated.
I do butter, but what I'll do is I'll do a compound butter, and so
Explain a compound butter to me because I don't know what that is. To be honest, and I'm actually pretty good in the kitchen. I like to cook.
Super easy. All it means is butter with stuff in it, basically.
Like an herb butter.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
something you might finish on top of a steak when it's resting.
Yep,
or
100%.
something.
That's all it means.
Okay.
I mean, to really simplify, that's really all it is.
Wait.
So you do like butter with, and you would generally use a little bit of olive oil as well, always.
Okay.
So butter, a little olive oil, salt, and then whatever other seasonings you want in it, right?
Yeah.
And you get all that stuff together, you lift your skin up, and then you just kind of like rub that. And the other key thing here is you make this butter not like super soft, but you soften it a little bit. So
you don't want to pull it right out of the fridge, but you also don't want to melt it. first.
Ideally you get how much butter you're going to use.
It'll start cooking the chicken.
100%.
Yeah.
Ideally, you'd get how much butter you're going to use, and you would leave it out like for the whole night, and then just the next day when you're ready to start making, you just use that
room temperature.
Then
butter.
you can mix it really easily, do all that kind of good stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that would be my. But lifting the skin is a big deal because it
you don't want
helps.
it to stay connected like that.
It helps
so
it all cook evenly.
there.
And then here's the thing.
Okay.
Right? If you want the crispiest skin you can get on chicken without deep frying it, right, or air frying it, a little bit of baking powder.
Really? Oh, you know what? I've seen this before for like
Baking powder.
like wings and shit.
Yes,
But I never.
it's great.
I never do it myself, and it's something I always forget that I know of. Like because I heard it from like restaurants. I think it's
when
out in Naperville. What's the wing place? Crosstown. I think they do that.
Oh, the pub, Crosstown Pub.
Yeah.
Okay.
They make some fucking
Really
awesome wings.
I have a friend who
Awesome
plays there or
wings.
used to play there. He probably still does. Jason Sturman. Shout out Jason Sturman. But I played there with him a long time ago. I didn't eat anything when I was there, but like I
Killer
know
wings there.
Okay, that's good to know. I like wings,
Big
man.
full size wings, like legit wings. Not
with-
like going to Buffalo Wild Wings, right?
with
That's
the-
where I
with the
learned
whole-
how to.
yeah,
That's
okay.
where I learned how to twist and rip.
Yeah,
and dip my flappers.
By the way, if you have an option, what do you go for?
Flapper. I'll go all flappers almost every time. I know a lot of people love drumettes, but
I don't get why I feel like drumettes. If I wanted a chicken leg, I'd get a chicken leg. I think chicken legs are better than drumettes, right? I think.
I agree.
But flats are just
something about how the colorization happens sometimes in the meat too. Like sometimes
There's
you get
more
that
gristle.
purpley red, and then you get
There's more
like
gristle and shit.
That kind of like connective tissue that you don't want to.
I think there's veins that run through there too, which create that weird color. I don't mind the color so
flapper.
much,
A
but
full flapper to me is heaven.
so it's so much better.
When it's like Hooters used to have full size wings.
Yeah, I don't know whether
their wings are like Buffalo
It's
Wild Wings
really
now, where it's like tiny little
fucking
miniature
annoying.
wings.
Yeah.
And the sauces and the breading still taste great. Don't get me wrong, but a wing like that. Shout out to my dear friend Kyle Simmons, who was the first person to ever show
I
me
remember Kyle.
to
man.
grab
I
a
haven't seen
couple
him in a long time.
knuckles and push that back a little bit and just rip and twist, and then you can just dunk that fucker in ranch and go to town.
And you get as long as they did it right, the skin's crispy, but you also got.
I get them naked
dark
usually
meat.
and get my sauce on the outside, but they're still fried. But I get them naked and I get the sauce. That just so much better.
Dude, I'm so with you on the. People always look at me weird when I ask for sauce on the side. Like, I'll tell you what, Wingstop for being a fast chain
Not bad.
is actually
Not bad. No.
pretty damn good.
And I like their sauces and stuff. So.
Yeah, and even if you have your own, like get them naked.
Yeah.
And just get them. They're just fried but naked.
I like
right?
their sauces just fine. Yeah.
They're good size wings. They're better than I thought they would be.
Crosstown's awesome out there because they have a great like barbecue. They got a great teriyaki. They've got a cool like bourbon sauce. And if you like the hot shit, they obviously have a bunch of crazy fucking spicy shit too. But and then they have a whole section of dry rubs too. So like, I will go out to wing place. I don't mind. I do go out to wing places with people that are like they don't like the mess. They just don't like, and they're like, this is my kind of.
I don't like the mess either, to be some extent, but I mean that's why I get the sauce on the side because then I can dip it and then eat it, and then like the only mess I've got is if I screwed up and ended up on my
the
shirt.
Mustache and beard combo that usually.
There's
the
always going to be a little bit left
We're
over.
always
Then
getting
you just do this move.
Mm-hmm.
And you smell it to make sure.
I do that.
It smells like mango. I think it would
Push the lip
be.
up and
I'd be
smell it.
remiss to say it might be kind of funny to do like an episode of this where there's a hot I could just
A hot ones challenge.
not even doing all of them. Just do like the one.
Right.
What is
right.
it?
Just
The
have
to
one.
bomb.
I don't know. I don't watch that show, but I know it's great. I'm not
I've-
knocking it. I just don't watch
It's
it.
been a long time since I
if
watched
they have
it.
a great guest, I'll check it out.
I used to watch it more frequently than I do now, partly because I don't know who any of the people are that are on it.
How about that guy though? He built a fucking. He built an empire.
You think about how long that's been around too, which is kind of crazy. Because I came into it, I found out about it like
Truly built
it had
that.
already been around for 4 or 5 years. I'd never heard of it. That's how long
The
it takes.
guests he
Though.
was getting, I was like,
Right, and he was all guests that I knew too. I just
Will
never heard of
Ferrell
it.
and all these, you know,
It was
Sydney
even before
Sweeney.
that, you know.
Sydney Sweeney.
Sydney Sweeney's about the time when I started not knowing who anybody is.
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah, because she's pretty.
I
recent,
didn't
yeah.
even know who she was until like I had to kind of look her up, honestly. But now it's like every like 1 out of 12 people that I see, like I said, on YouTube and flicking through, I get suggested a video.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't know who the fuck that is.
Nope.
Never seen that person. Who's that child?
It's
I don't know who
like
that
some
is.
Awesome famous person that I've loved for years. And I'm like, all right, I'll watch.
Right,
I'll watch
yeah.
him. I'll watch.
Exactly.
Kevin Hart's probably going to say something funny, you know.
Right,
all these-
like it's just funny, like how out of touch I am with like modern entertainment. Basically, is what
Yeah,
that means. You know,
I'm with you.
I don't know if they're actors or if they're comedians or if they're singers or whatever. I assume most ones I don't know are just like singers I've never heard of.
Just like a young singer that.
Because generally speaking, the people I don't know in entertainment are like the youth singing people.
Are you talking about Kids Bop or? Like,
I don't know
What are we referring?
what the hell that means.
Sabrina Carpenter. Are you familiar with who Sabrina Carpenter is?
No idea.
She sings the song about espresso.
No.
No. All right.
No.
Yeah. All
I've
right. So
never-
you're tapped out. I like that about you.
Yeah, no, I listen to like gypsy jazz music exclusively now at home. That's all I listen to. I swear to God. That's
I don't
not
even
a
know
joke.
what that means.
I know. Most people don't. But okay, here's a funny thing. Can you play some real quick? Yeah. Like if I'd give you like a name. Because what I want to say is I found this stuff about maybe 3 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, I kind of had heard of what it was, but I didn't really know. So what we're gonna look for is
we'll probably end up getting some kind of copyright bullshit. We'll see what happens.
we'll
Doesn't matter.
look for
We'll just play a couple seconds of it.
Josco, Joscho,
All right.
Stefan,
Stefan, there he is. I
you
see
go.
him.
So
Anything? Well, let's.
you can look through and see if anything seems like. I mean, like he has some
What's
covers.
in his popular? Oh, there's Joe Rogan. What's up, Joe Rogan?
Um,
What do we got here? We got Minor Blues, Joseph, Hey Joe.
so Hey Joe's kind
Lucia.
of cool because it's like a cover of Hey Joe, right? But it's all instrumental, no singing.
What about Linea Blanca?
Just pick whatever one you think you want listed
shit.
because. So the reason I end up getting into this is because this is sort of what like I just hear in my own fucking head walking around doing shit, but I never knew where to find it, I guess, or didn't know it was like a really a thing. But this just sounds like my goofball brain usually doing laundry or whatever. Right? I swear to God. And I didn't know
It
about
feels
it.
almost like flamenco guitar or something.
It's like
almost,
French jazz. It's like French cafe jazz, you know?
Oh yeah, this would bang in a fucking bistro, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know why this was just something that I never really
call.
knew much about it. But once I heard it really and listened to a few of them I was like, holy, how did I never start listening to this?
This kind of slaps.
It's
Kind of into it.
And
Right?
this is slow. This is actually
Yeah,
a
I
very
get
slow,
it.
more under the table kind of thing.
Okay, under the table. What's it doing under the
I don't know that
Okay.
what that means even, but
All right, that's fine. All right.
I would say
I'm going
like,
down that rabbit hole later, buddy.
the musicianship.
Just know that
is-
when you leave, I'm diving in.
Dude, do it. You'll not be disappointed. The musicianship is very comparable to like bluegrass, and it's similar in tempo in that way too.
Love
but it's
that.
just different style. But you'll hear a lot of similarities to like the ooh, that was a good
There's
splash.
a little spray there.
To the way that they, just how good of musicians they are for one, but like how technically sound they are. But it's just two very different styles that feel similar because of the general tempo. You know, bluegrass feels usually pretty fast, right? Not always, but generally a little faster. And this is sort of the same way.
Man, that was. I like the description that clicked for me was the French
jazz. Yeah.
like the
Well,
like
and
the bistro type feel,
like
almost.
the sort of the father of modern gypsy jazz was a guy named Django Reinhardt, who was around
Star
the
Wars character.
Django. Yeah, it sounds Django. Django Reinhardt was around in the 1920s and was from France, but brought gypsy jazz music to America, basically. And it became that style of music, just some slightly different. I don't know. I'm just me having OCD, but brought it over here, and it became pretty popular in America actually for a while. And then now it's like next to impossible to find here.
Just dead.
Being played live. There's occasions. I mean, it's not like it's nowhere, but it's not easy to find here anymore.
No shit. All right.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of bistros and shit, let's talk about this food. Like, what's driving this food passion here? What's driving these videos? Like, do you feel like you have to make videos? Do you feel like you're like excited to make the next one? You want to find more time to do it type situation?
Yeah. So I mean, it started with making food, and then I realized like I'm not really a fucking cook. You know what I mean? Like I like to cook, and I've learned how to do something.
Not a fucking line cook, no.
But I'm not a chef, or you know what I mean? Like I like to cook, I like to eat, but I like how interesting it is that this even became a thing. Is more so what it is. So the first handful of videos is really all of the videos right now, except for like maybe 3 or 4, are me cooking things at home, which is fine. But there's a limit to where I can go with that, really, because my limited knowledge. Also, I'm not going to be a chef. You know what I mean? I like to eat food. I like to cook the stuff I like to cook, but I'm not trying to be a chef. What I want, though, very much, is for people to understand and be more interested in how food brings other worlds together, because it's such a transitional thing. It's the same way alcohol can be too. You know what I mean? Like it's a centerpiece for meeting new people, for having conversations with people you already
somehow
do know.
Food is more universal than
well, because you always have to eat food, you know, but you don't, you know. But I mean, they're similar in that way.
A large percent of the world doesn't drink.
Exactly. But food, on the other hand, everyone eats, and everyone generally eats around. I mean, like there's always at least some point in your week where you're eating with somebody else or multiple people. So it's this interesting little centerpiece for conversation that exists all the time. And when it's good food, you end up having really fun conversations that otherwise may have just been like, you're eating a peanut butter sandwich.
1,000%.
You know,
Makes so much sense.
You're enjoying yourself so much more than you normally would be if you were just eating a sandwich you normally have. Yeah. So you feel better, and then that person feels better, and the other person over there feels better. And now the conversation you're having goes in other places.
It doesn't necessarily revolve around the food, the conversation itself. No. The conversation may start with it. Yeah. It may start with like, oh my God, how fucking good is this? Yeah. And blah, 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 a story comes out, and then all of a sudden you and I are talking about, it just fucking WWE wrestling.
Yeah, right. In a way, it may just make talking about anything a little bit easier, because you're just more at ease. You feel good because you're eating something that just did something to you that was really wonderful, which is kind of puts you in a state of bliss for a brief moment.
Maybe you and I should start a weekly podcast where we have a meal together and just talk like that.
It's really good. Yeah. This is so delicious.
We just sit here and eat and talk about whatever comes up.
I guess to the larger point, though, what I want. So all the videos right now are me cooking, with the exception of a few.
Right. Did you realize that, like, once you started, or like, but even before you started, did you realize like, oh shit, this may limit me? Like,
I don't know how many videos I got in there, but
it makes sense. You're like, I want to get something out. I want to do something. I get excited about this. Like, I want to cook a steak and show you how to cook this steak.
Yeah, because there were some things I just like. We could like. I know I can do this
corner myself. Like,
well, it was more just like, okay. It's the good thing is I didn't get too far into it before. Like the channel is. I think the channel is on. I don't even know how many subscribers that channel has, but it's not that many right now.
It's 271.
Okay, perfect. So it's way low enough to where like I can change directions now, and it's not like gonna be weird to do it. You know what I mean? I can totally rebrand it.
He must be on coke again. Just fucking flip the script on us.
So yeah.
Your 270 subscribers are going to be pitchfork.
What the hell's going on here?
We want the old shit.
We want more spatchcocking, please.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so now I just want to shift it into. And I told you this earlier before we kind of started recording, but
nobody knows that though.
Yeah, I know.
Now they do.
But I'm telling them. It's just like when you screw up playing a song, you're not supposed to tell anybody. I always do.
And you always end up like, I kind of fucked that up.
I always do. In the middle of the song, I'm like, oh, that wasn't right, but we'll keep going anyways.
My self-conscious brain.
But what I want to change it into slowly is more like what a couple of the last videos were, excluding the newest one, but which is more like going to a place to highlight what it is and what it does with the community that is around it. Also bringing in, now the new thing would be bringing in like a musician, a comedian, an artist, or somebody in a creative field to bring me to one of their favorite places, and then also talk to the owner or the head chef or somebody very directly related to that particular restaurant, and sit down as a 3-piece group at like a table and just eat, talk about the artist and why that artist loves coming to this place, also about their stuff, and maybe even to a smaller extent, instead of them having to do their whole backstory, the whole, as part of the episode, I can just like overlay clips of their work, you know what I mean? Like in between things when it's applicable. And if it's music, it's even easier because you can just use their music as the background music of the thing.
Can I get that permission, please?
Because I know
get copyright shots.
When it comes to artists, like, at a certain point, they don't want to talk about that stuff anymore. And I very much understand.
Well,
most people.
You're an artist.
But
you have a very good leg to stand on when you say those things.
It
out
makes
loud.
sense to like start with it, but then like we're sitting here at this meal. This meal is going to be like a 35-minute to an hour long process. So like, you don't want to just talk about what you do for an hour. You know what I mean? So, get the basic part out of the way a little bit and just get people to understand about what you do and then why. Did this place, not only is some place you like, but maybe it was a place that you came to think about shit. What, like maybe it was just like a diner somewhere you wanted to go to have a coffee and just write something in a notebook or whatever. And then talk about to the people who run the place. And like, sometimes they don't realize what kind of impact they have on people that come there to eat or sit down and have a coffee. Sometimes they don't, they know they're doing something for people, but they don't always know how big
They've
a
been
deal it
cooking
is.
meal after meal after meal
Right.
for month after year after decade after.
I think it'd be cool to see the reactions
Sometimes
to
they just
somebody
need to be reminded. You guys are pretty fucking cool.
Exactly. And like, how cool would that be to like, maybe like, some comedian was like, I love coming here because I can just jot down like joke ideas while I'm having a burger or whatever, or maybe me and a couple other comedians come here or whatever and do the same thing. And, in the kitchen or over here, you just see two people sitting at a table eating. You don't know what their deal is,
Yeah.
And if you find out, I got to imagine it'd be kind of cool as an owner or a head chef to find out that somebody else is coming there to be creative or like get to the point where they can feel creative just by having a good meal and then writing some stuff down or something,
So even looking at, through your videos, I know I watched the one that you did with, I think you were at Tischler's, right? You were at
Yes,
Tischler's,
yeah.
which is cool, like
Yep.
local spot.
That was the first time I did one that wasn't me cooking.
You cooking,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
Does it look like Mojo's is on here too? I don't think I've watched that one.
I did the Mojo. I went to Mojo's and interviewed
I play music here a lot.
John Argadelis, the mayor of Plainfield. He sat down with me.
He's at Workforce all the time.
Okay, yeah. He's very much a part of he's at every local restaurant, and he really does a really nice job. I mean, however you feel about his politics or whatever, I don't know. But as far as like him being interested in local businesses, he very much is. And I think he does a really good job with that. And he's always been a super nice guy to me. I live in Plainfield now, but like I've only, it's been fairly new. So like all I know is like he's active in the entertainment community or the service community.
Yeah.
Service industry.
Yeah, he's out there. The people at Workforce, he's there all the time. I saw him a couple weeks ago, a month ago or so when I was working. So he's out there. That speaks to your point. So I mean, like, when you're doing these, are you going to stop doing the cooking part of it, or are you going to kind of layer in some of that?
I think I'm going to
hit a recipe that you're like, I want to do this.
I think shorts is what the meat cooking stuff will be mainly.
Ooh, so you're going to have to get that, find out the crazy little, creative way that all these youngsters film these little quick short cooking
or
films.
just find my own way that still does the same thing.
That's smart.
But
Alex, that's
like,
smart. See, that's where my brain goes. I gotta recreate what these people are doing that's successful.
One of my least favorite things in the world is some of these like ads you see on Facebook or whatever flipping through. Like all you had to do was download this AI app and it just make me a video about this. Like, why don't you make yourself gone? Like,
absolutely
completely useless pile of crap.
That's our old age. I think we're just 40.
I hope anybody with half a brain would feel a little bit discouraged by
Problem is,
here's the other thing too. I think realistically,
let's not do anything.
If you let AI do shit for you, that might be great right now. But you know how bad that's going to be in 20 years from now, when now nobody needs you. Nobody needs you to do anything anymore, because
I let it write emails for me sometimes for work. It's great.
That's a little different. You know what I mean? Obviously, you know what I mean?
It's great.
But it's just we're getting too
Secret
comfortable
time.
with shit like that. I think AI is an
Oh, yeah.
amazing tool.
Oh yeah.
But to use, particularly using it for creative stuff, is
a real issue.
There's like, okay, at what
AI,
point?
write a movie, write a blockbuster for
It's
me.
like, man,
Yeah.
like at what point? At some point, people that aren't individuals making stuff, but production houses are going to be like, oh, well, we don't need people to make any of this stuff anymore, so we won't
No, it's a
hire
real
you
thing.
to even do it anymore.
I think
you
it
know?
falls in the middle somewhere, right? Because there's people saying like, "Fuck me in 10 years." Some people are saying, it's going to be another 100 years.
I think using
somewhere
it,
in the middle, there's some
helping
truth there.
it-
Like all the truck drivers are going to be gone, and all the all this stuff is.
well, that's not really AI, but that's
well, kind
self-driving.
of. I mean, it's
kind
self-driving,
of.
which is going to be learning. It's going to learn.
Yeah, it's not like it's not going to just make. It's not going to decide to get off of an on ramp because it's sick of driving on 80. Though
Run right through your front door. Don't talk about AI.
I think less trucks on the highway would be all right.
Yeah, no, definitely. Universal basic
I'm
income
sorry if you're a
will be
truck
the next.
driver.
Will be the next topic. Yeah.
I mean, living in Plainfield has really changed my mind about trucks. I can't. Man.
Those
I've
train
got,
tracks get me every day.
Jesus, every day, and when I don't get it, I forget almost that there's a thing, and then I get out, and then it's a 12-mile long train.
It's everywhere, though. I mean, it's like I don't know. That's a whole other rabbit hole I don't want to go down. Government contracts and road work and all.
Lockport Street on that side. On
Lockport Street is wild.
4 years, I think. 4 years.
Wild.
That side, and the other side of the street has been
Just-
like under construction for 4 years.
I don't know what's going on there.
Neither do I. I don't think they know either.
Because if I have to go like where that school is, and I have to go to Workforce on Center Street, it's like.
I moved
you
in
have
there.
to-
I moved into.
You have to go all the way to 126 and go around. And
Yeah, when they first
over
started,
the
you could go both
tracks and
ways
all
at
that.
least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now you can only go, towards 59.
crazy. And I drink coffee at 10 Drops. 10 Drops is my spot.
Yeah, it's a
Love
good
that fucking place.
Good place.
I mean, luckily I've learned pour overs over the last couple of years, and that's all I do. I just buy their beans and I do pour overs at home. That's my life now. And they have the best deal because if you buy beans from them, you get a free drink while you're there. So it's like.
Buy our beans, get a drink.
You get a $6 fucking cold brew while you're there
That's a
for
good deal.
nothing, and you get your $20 bag of beans. It's like you're supporting a local business. They make the best beans, honestly.
Yeah.
Their beans are insane. Like
I've
I've
never
had a
gotten
lot of coffee.
I need to get a coffee. That's the
I've
one
had a
thing.
lot of coffee in the local market, and their coffee is exceptional. Like wow.
I'll have to I got to get a coffee grinder and a French press is what I need.
Nah, don't do French press. Get a do pour overs. Pour overs are better. You
What's
get
the
you get a hot kettle. You get
okay.
an electric kettle.
Okay.
Get a $20 electric kettle off Amazon. Get yourself a $20 spice grinder or whatever.
Actually, I have a French press. Okay, but a pour
French
over,
press is
okay.
fine. You can do it. French press
yeah.
is fine. Pour over's better. Just
Is that just because?
take the tea kettle.
Is it
I don't know.
just 'cause it's
They
easier,
know
or-
why.
Oh, okay.
I'm just
okay.
I'm just mimicking what
Got
they
it.
do. I'm the
Okay.
monkey that you taught how to do it. But if something broke, I wouldn't know. I don't know how to fix it. You know? We always talked about that in brewing. Like the brewers would always tell me, like you can teach a monkey how to brew the fucking beer, and they can make an exceptional beer, but that you can't teach them what happens if like the fucking a gasket blows, and then
Right, yeah.
like you have to be able to handle all the other shit and the little. But I'm that monkey. Like I had somebody explain to me very specifically: get your water to 200 degrees. Get your have your ground at this size.
That would be the thing you can't do with a French press.
Just
Really,
one
at
minute.
least on its own, is you can't get water. I mean, you just put hot water into the thing. So
Well,
like,
no,
you'd have to.
you'd want to get your water to 200 before you added it to your grounds. Yeah, that would
Yeah, I
make
just mean
sense.
like the difference is that thing does it while the water's in it, then you just pour it over.
Yeah.
and it's pour over. I
And
guess.
it's like, you got your filter. It's a little Chemex thing that I use. It's fucking, it changed my whole outlook on coffee. And I could still take a fucking pot of Folgers and be cool with it. Black coffee, because that's all I drink. But I mean, man, pour overs, next level.
I do like coffee. I do like a good cup of coffee.
I mean,
gotta
coffee's
tell
the
you.
next, it's not the next thing. I think tequila might be the next thing. Tequila's starting
coffee
to,
can't be the next thing because it's already
right,
it's already
right.
been the thing.
Right. No, that's a good point. I caught myself when I was.
Unless somebody
thinking
makes
that.
like decaf coffee that people decide to go crazy about. For who, I
That's
don't know
probably
why.
out there too. I mean, it probably exists. We just probably haven't seen it.
I'm
It
sure
just
there
probably
are.
hasn't
That's
reached
what I
my
mean.
ears
I'm
yet.
sure there's decaf coffee.
I'm sure there's
that's
some
like,
fucking
gotta
like,
try
oh,
this
you didn't
decaf.
know about this? Like,
Because I mean, I personally used to drink a lot of coffee. Now I drink a little bit less.
I only drink 1 cup a day. That's it.
Okay,
That's
so if
it.
I start with
But I
coffee,
know that shit is good. I know
I
my
drink
shit
a
is
big
good.
coffee. like probably 12 to 16 ounces of coffee.
Yeah. 8,
And-
10 ounces for me.
But
every day.
I'll sip on it for about 3 to 4 hours maybe.
See, I have a little warmer over there at my station. There's a little electric warmer. I just set my mug on so it stays at temp while I'm working in the mornings. It's great.
Which thing is it?
It's kind of, well, there's a mess over there. So to the right of the little microphone.
Oh, I see. The
So
little black,
little
like,
black thing.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
yep. It's got like 3 different temperature settings on it. Yeah,
I sees it.
I'm into it.
I sees that stuff.
So I mean, the food passion really lies more in the people. It sounds like, perhaps, yeah. Like the food is obviously you're passionate about it, but
Yeah,
but it's like you want to kind of elevate the people within it.
yeah, and from a presentation standpoint, I want to have a show that like is more broad, I guess, a little more broad and a little more encompassing than it's just me, just cooking food, or it's just doing this, because I think that would be a lot of fun for one. And I'm interested in like what people buy. One of my favorite things about playing music is that it's allowed me to go places that I probably wouldn't have otherwise been, and then opened my eyes to do that on my own when I wasn't playing too. It's like going to Germany, for instance.
Yeah, that makes total sense. But we're like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours in. I haven't even brought that up. That was like something I was like, we'll probably spend most of our time talking about your trip to Germany. Nope, WWE,
toward ACL.
Yes.
But yeah, so like I think that's also just that's something a little more unique too. Just thinking as a content creator, like what's something that not only do I want to do, but what do I think people are going to be more interested in watching that they can't get somewhere else, or not as easily somewhere else, and can I continue doing it with a lot of different options over time?
Yeah.
If it's just me cooking, that's going to be limited to what I can cook. And then I have to like start learning more things to cook, which is fine because I'll do that on my own here and there anyways.
Don't limit yourself.
But I don't want to just like, I'm going to learn this and try cooking. And then if I suck at it the first time, you can't make something on it. So it's more just, I don't want to be a chef or a cook. I want to be somebody who highlights the importance of food within culture more than anything, I guess,
Yeah, I mean, in one like Bourdain's.
Hopefully a
Bourdain's a
unique
guy like I was never like overly enthralled with Bourdain. I didn't watch the shows. If anything, I got to know more about him after he died, and I totally get it.
I think it's a lot of people, honestly.
I totally get a lot of why people are in love with him and have his quotes up and whatever. But like that idea of the approach, and like when I hear other people talk about how he did like his shows, I'm like, yeah, that's like why I did the beer podcast, because that is how I felt about like I wanted to dive into these people, like and you're talking about like what you're doing with the food right now too, like another facet to that. And I think like sure we're not twins, but we have some similarities in our, I think our mental makeup, like to where how, and our emotional makeup, like how we like to be around people.
Yeah.
It's like you're shooting these videos by yourself in a kitchen. That's fun. Don't get me wrong. You want to share them with everybody. But that
handful of
fucking
times,
connection with the people, like having you in my house right now talking like this is like as fun as I have is having these real conversations with people.
Totally,
and that's why I'm willing to do it for no money. Like this is what I want to do. Like this.
It's just fun. That's how you know something's, I think, worth doing. Right? Is that like you can do it and not get anything back in return, like physically or monetarily.
My wife wants me down here talking to my friends, drinking beer.
See, now you just said down here like it was the basement.
Yeah, well, she's up there. She's up there.
Okay, fair enough. But like, if you can do something that doesn't give you anything other than just enjoyment and still want to do it, at least for the moment, then it's also something you could maybe spend extra time on and turn it into something that can do the other things for you too later on too. But the idea is not to do it just for that. That's just a bonus maybe down the road. The idea you're doing it is because it's something you really enjoy doing. It brings you enjoyment, brings you happiness, and maybe you can spotlight how cool being aware of something like that is for other people to be on board with it that maybe just haven't thought about it yet or haven't thought about it that way yet, but it certainly could,
Right. And you don't need me to help build a following for you. You've built a following in music and everything else that you're doing.
I can always have help building anything.
But I mean, like you're a guy, like I think a lot of people, I'm not the only one that shares this mindset. I'm not saying it's universal, but sharing things that you are like or are passionate about is good. It's something that makes people feel good. So like I used to watch you play music. I used to want to bring other people. Like you got to come see my friend Alex play music. You know, so I think the videos you're doing are cool. I think these people that I've had on, this biker dude that does smash burgers that I had on, like I want to share what I'm seeing in this person with other people. So like that's the whole premise of what we're doing right now. So, so the food, like how do you think that you have this set up right now to like go where you want to go?
I think I have the idea for it set up. I just need to now get the first guests together for one.
Like, do you already have ideas and names and people?
Yeah, I've got like one.
Definitely want to kind of start here.
Yeah, I've obviously, not obviously is not the right word. I've certainly got the, like, one idea for 3 different guests. Like I've got one idea for a comedian, one idea for a musician, one idea for an artist.
Like comedians in cars getting coffee.
Except for it's comedians with a non-comedian at a restaurant eating food.
All right, so it's not the same thing. All right, go fuck yourself.
But yeah, so I've got I've got like a short list of people I want to talk to that can run the gamut of all the kind of creative avenues I want to go to. But then I still have to like figure out their restaurants, or even like a food truck, like or whatever.
Right, because then you got to make that connection.
That's a thing too.
The food people, and they're busy as shit. And you have to. There's just a lot of brokering the relationships and niceties, and hopefully you connect on like on a friendship kind of level. Like
I think making people comfortable while you're talking to them also like helps. Like even if it's somebody like I think would be interesting, but maybe they're not great in front of a camera. If you can just make them forget that the camera's there, then it's usually
the conversation piece. Yeah. That's like that whole beer pod. I mean, I did 100 episodes of my beer podcast, audio only, and that was one thing I learned very quickly was like you just make it easy on them and try to make them comfortable. That was like how I started the whole thing too, to get my first like yeses, like you can come into my space. Oh, I have no body of work to show you. I had nothing to be like, I'm just a guy who likes beer and don't work in beer. I don't have any connections to the industry. I just like it, and I wanted to come to your brewery. And then once I got the first couple, and then that guy was like, oh, I know Paul over there. Oh, I'll do it. Oh, he said he had fun on your show. All right, we'll do it now. And then all of a sudden, it was like I was getting bigger and bigger fish that I was like, holy shit, these guys are letting me come into their space.
Which is a cool feeling, right?
It was cool, just like the building it. It was the only thing I've ever built,
let me ask you this. Was it something that you were like, you just assumed would not be as easily accessible as far as like the location, right? As it ended up being, because people were a lot more willing to do it than you thought they would be.
Well, I went in there like all bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, thinking, I was sending out emails and trying to like explain. Like I just didn't want them to think like I'm not trying to put you out at all. I'm gonna come. I'm gonna bring my equipment. All I need is an hour or two of your time to talk about how great you are and everything that you're doing, and like my first 3 or 4 episodes were, I don't even think I had like an actual brewery like that was operational on. Okay. It was a bottle shop. It was a bottle shop. It was an episode I did with friends while we were having a bottle share, and then it was Will County hadn't opened yet, but they came on. And then it was another bottle shop, and then all of a sudden Penrose in Geneva or whatever said yes. So everybody knows Tom over at Penrose. So then the next, Metal Monkey was like cool with doing it, and then all of a sudden, and it built and built until I got to like 18th Street in Indiana, which is huge, and then Microphone and More and all these like really popular breweries in Chicagoland started doing it, and then it was like doors were wide open. And I started to build a reputation. Like people liked it when I was there. I'd come into those breweries after I did the show, and they would like welcome me, and their staff would know, and they would, they would be like, "Oh, you don't have that's on the house type shit." I'm like, that's not what you do it for, but it's cool. It's a cool feeling to be like, "Hey, you promoted us. Now we're happy to have you."
They're happy to see somebody that's passionate enough to want to come in and spotlight what they're doing, and also what they do. And not just what
I was
they're
too
doing
stupid
within
to understand it too. Like I didn't get that. Like I had friends and stuff telling me like, what, like why are you hoping? Like they should be begging you to come because you're promoting them for nothing. I'm like, no. I like that. I want to go.
Yeah,
do that.
I mean,
I was like really dumb.
That's
about
the
it.
on
Like,
the surface thing that's attractive to somebody who says, "Yeah, let's come in and do it." The other thing I would hope and I assume is that's the obvious thing. It's like, oh, it's like free publicity or free advertisement or whatever.
I was so ignorant to that thinking.
But
I never thought about it that way.
The other thing too, for the real creative ones of those groups, like it's also like it's just bringing a spotlight to the industry itself.
Yeah.
Too, and the thing that they do.
That's a rising tides industry too. There are rising tides, for the most part.
Rising tides, make them bright.
Alex just wrote a song.
What you do,
live.
hold it
I
tight.
don't even know what song you're singing.
Neither do
appreciate
I.
it. Okay, so you just wrote that.
Yeah, I
Good for you.
did. It came to me
You-
in a dream.
So you're preparing for Creed's comeback. Is what you're
Buried
saying.
to in a dream.
Yes, there it is.
Oh, it is here.
So you feed him sake and talk about that.
I went sort of into like an old Michael McDonald.
I had
at the end there.
Michael McDonald, there was Scott Staff in there. There was some Nickelback that was shining. There was some Nickelback shining through. There was something going on there. But the thing that kind of blew my mind the other day, well, not the other day, but fairly recently, I found that out. And I was telling you that me and my brother, my older brother, and my son, who's 12 years old, we play Fortnite together all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I never realized you were a gamer. Never realized you had a gaming channel.
Well, the gaming it was not something I advertised to anybody really because gaming didn't even become cool for adults to be okay to do until like fairly recently. So like,
and we're no hardcore gamers, but we do it to be on the headsets together to talk.
Yeah,
this is like the most connection I have with my brother
it's
day to day.
a fun thing you can do, and the games are interesting enough, even if you aren't a gamer, like that you can have fun with. And like you said, it is a way to connect with people. I think it gets a really bad rap because of certain games, like giving it a really bad representation of what community. There's a good community of people that are gaming.
Amazing
gamers too.
Amazing. And there was a point that I wanted to bring up earlier, and I'm already losing it as I'm talking because I'm jumping over the top of you, and I apologize about that. But just this honestly is what the point I wanted to make earlier was. You tend to be a little bit. I call it like almost ahead of the curve. You're ahead of the curve in your approach to music and being able to find something to do. And I know you kind of joked about what you're doing now and being like, well, again, not a secure thing to do, but like this is something that I have. A 3-year-old, I have a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old, and I tell them all the time. Because they're, everybody's worried about where are you going to school, you're high school, and then you're going to college, and how are you going to do that? And I tell my kids, like, if you can figure out something that doesn't involve those things, that's fine. Like, I'm like, if you can be your own, source as a person who's worked in corporate America for a long time and worked in a cool industry like craft beer for a long time, and if they can figure out a YouTube channel, like something that brings them joy and brings them money, like I totally push that.
Sure.
I am not going to be like, you have to go to college type thing.
Yeah. And I think, nowadays too, I think the whole needing to go to college thing is a lot different than it was. Like not just because you should do what you want to do and that you love, but also like just tangibly, it's not as important as it used to be. It still can be depending on the field, depending on the field you go into.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of
depends on what you want to do.
Yeah,
what are you built for?
There are a lot of directions now you can go in that just do not require you to go to college necessarily, but they require you to have some experience. And
you also have to be creative. You have to know how to deal with people.
Some of these fields and these avenues didn't exist 20 years ago.
No.
So like when we were, or 25 years ago, or what? How long did we graduate
dude.
now?
We're basically
2003.
at this point. So
2003. Are we the same age?
I'm 2002.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh shit, you're a year older.
Yeah, I'm just a year, and Shannon's a year older than us. She's only 10 months physically older than me, but by age. But she was 2001.
Got it. Okay.
So, yeah.
But yeah, like so when we were getting out of high, I mean, like there was nothing like this going on. There were no potty. There was barely the internet.
We had some version of it.
We had the internet, but I mean, it was like AOL. You know what I mean? It was still
Ask
fairly
Jeeves was pretty hot.
Yeah, or Yahoo.
Yeah, there was a website that we would go on in high school in the computer labs called cracksmokers.com. Have you never heard of this?
No.
So cracksmokers.com, not what you think, right? It was the
I hope
greatest
not.
website, and I don't think you can pull it up anymore. But god damn it, if anybody's listening to this and you went to high school in like 99 to like 2004 and you can remember Crack Smokers was a repository, or like a directory basically. You go in and you get there was a hyper. You just type in
I
cracksmokers.com.
thought you said a suppository.
Yeah,
For a
it was
second.
a suppository right up the butt. So you would go in and you would it would have a list: NCAA football, NFL, MLB. It would have all the major sports. You click on it, and it would literally alphabetically had a list of every crime every professional athlete had ever committed. So
Wow.
this would be us in the library.
That
at
is a
school.
very
Isn't that wild?
odd, specific thing. But that's something that you could do on the internet back then, where like, because there weren't 10 million
Nate
websites.
Newton and Michael Jordan's gambling and like
Half
all
of
the
it were
Deion Sanders.
Yeah, so half of it was the Dallas Cowboys.
They
team,
had
obviously,
an
but-
entire section like where there was all the leagues and like teams. They had one dedicated section to the Florida State Seminoles from like that era of like
Yeah.
Randy Moss and all those guys that went there in that time frame. Was like, wow. I don't know why that just hit me and I felt the need to share that, but I did. Anywho, yeah, times are different is what.
Well, I remember going to kind of read like transition this, but I remember going to the library to look at websites that we weren't supposed to look at. But I think it was IGN was newly on the internet at the time, and so would you go to like what were those Apple computers?
Emacs or whatever. There were Emacs,
the big
at
round
the time. Yeah, they had the
whatever.
colors, different colors.
Yeah, green. A lot
they
of
had the
teal.
handle on the top. You could carry them. Those were Emacs.
So we'd go into the computer, the computer lab,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd go in there, and I would look at like the newest game I was waiting for, and IGN would always have a review for it before it come out, so I could go there and watch a video of it, and to bring it full compass again. I remember looking for WWF WrestleMania 2000.
Were these Emacs?
Yes,
Like
that's
these
exactly.
kind of-
Yes, exactly. So I'd go to that little. What do you mean the files are in the computer?
Yeah, Zoolander.
Yeah.
They're in the computer.
So I went on one of those and looked up WWF WrestleMania 2000 and watched the video. I was
Hell
like,
yeah,
this is the
brother.
most realistic looking thing I've ever seen. Granted, if you look at that game now, it's like it's game technology advances every bit as fast as like
Bananas.
phone technology, basically. Because I remember looking at GoldenEye like recently.
Dude, how great is that game?
It was
Check
great.
this guy out.
You ever
Look at this
tried-
guy. Look at this motherfucker?
You ever tried to
Those
play?
are like special industry glasses.
Those are actually gaming
What I was
glasses.
gonna say.
Those are
Those must
legit gaming glasses.
I'm not scared.
I got those from.
Are they prescription?
No, because
Is
I wear
Light
contacts.
blocking type
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. They're sort of like golf
It's
glasses.
almost like
You know.
you're dressed like Scarface in this one, the insurgency one.
Well, that's because I actually superimposed my face on it.
I love that.
I didn't actually wear
Sorry,
that
you-
outfit. I
you were
didn't actually
going
wear.
somewhere else.
Well, now you
but
got me thinking. This has been my fun thing lately. Is like just like putting my face into
yeah, good thumbnails.
Yeah, exactly. Because thumbnails are way more important than they should be.
That's what everybody tells me.
Somebody
Somebody called mine childish the other day. I don't care.
I hate it that they're
I'm
that
fine.
important because it has
Yours are
nothing to
great.
do with the video whatsoever.
Yours are great.
Well, they've gotten a lot better. I mean, if you look at like what they look like now versus what they
Okay,
used to look
that's
like,
fair.
it's
That's fair.
kind of ridiculous. But you have to do that, and I wish you didn't because it does not reflect the quality of the video at all,
Obviously.
or what it's about. Half the time, I still refuse to like make ones that are even as much to the point that like there's just certain lengths I will not go because I just refuse to do it. Like I'm not going to do. Like I'll do a red arrow occasionally if it makes sense to do it, but I'm not putting a fucking red arrow in every single one.
Yeah.
And I won't do clickbait like titling.
Right.
Like it's gonna be what it's about.
I hacked the game
Yeah.
and I earned 500 free.
I just used a tool you're not even allowed to use. How did that work? And then have my face like that, like no. And if there's been a couple times I used a face like that, but it was like in jest and it was very obviously like a joke that I was doing.
I don't know
it
if
that way.
anybody's gotten it 2 hours in, but you're a pretty silly guy too.
Yeah,
Like, you can be serious. You have a just like your voice. You have a lot of range, but you can be a silly motherfucker.
I'm generally pretty much weird all the time. I just do a good job of pretending like I'm not.
Do you do it in like because you're in your head? Do you do it inside like in your head? Do you get like almost not anxiety? Everybody says anxiety now, right? But like, do you have like? Because I get like socially Like I feel like I need to fill the space. I feel like I need to say something.
Like
I need to-
when
for anything, like your voice changes, like as you do like goofy voices. and
you mean
things
like just
that.
like I just out in the
Yeah,
wild?
just anytime, like in conversations, like anything.
Yeah,
like,
sometimes I feel like
do you ever
situations
feel
are
anxiety
just
almost? Is that what it is, or is it
Yes.
something? Because that's how I feel sometimes.
Well,
and I feel like I have a hard time explaining it, and I get really jealous when people are just like so confident that they don't do anything weird when they talk. I'm like, how are you this confident?
I
all
definitely
the time?
do. I definitely do a ton of things that are weird when I talk. I think I just
What do you owe it to?
have found it to hiding it better because I've had to do it so much more. Playing music means I'm in around people a lot more than I probably would have been if I didn't do that. So it puts you in a position where you have to talk to people a lot more often than, like I said, you would normally. And then you come up with, you just find ways to comfort yourself when you, like, I don't like being around a lot of people. I don't really like
Yeah,
that
it's
at
weird.
all.
I'm like totally an extrovert, but also hate being around people sometimes.
I don't like
know.
going to concerts unless
Yeah,
they're
like
with
packed
seats.
things.
Seats are fine. If it's like
I
a
love
like
seats.
seats are great. Love.
Because I'm just here to
fucking-
listen to the words and the melody.
I'm here to watch the show and listen to it. I'm not here to do
really
whatever
need to
else is
dance.
going on. Like if I wanted to get drunk and piss on somebody, I'd have gone to out Tweeter Center. You know what I mean?
R. Kelly,
whatever the hell it's
thank
called
you
now.
for that.
I watched somebody pee on somebody at a concert up there
Sweet.
one time. I was like,
Super
"What is
sweet.
happening? Like, why am I out here? This is ridiculous. You can't even hear that amphitheater
It was
sucks.
that live kids bop you went to.
It's like that's the flattest amphitheater I've ever been
It's
to.
the worst. It's
It,
the
like
worst.
if you're
The
20
sound there
feet
is
back,
awful.
it's so bad. If you're in the pavilion, it's fine.
Think about the amount of money they've made off of that place in the lawn alone.
It's
In the lawn
been
alone.
like 8
And
different names.
How terrible the sound, like the actual quality.
It
of
sounds
your
like a car
experience.
radio. Once you get past like
Yeah.
50 to 100
You're
feet
kinda
past.
listening to it.
Yeah, you're like, well, I might as well just get drunk now because you can't. I mean, we're not even a part of the show. Can't even. All the people on stage look about this big.
Give me one of those $35 guitar-shaped cups.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to derail us there, but yeah, I get that kind of. I don't know. I always feel like I need to fill sound space for some reason. Like when I'm around a group of people or something, if it gets quiet, I feel like it's my responsibility to say
Yeah.
something, and it just leads me to do like a stupid voice or something that I didn't need to do. Or
Oh
like,
yeah, I do that all the
I'm like,
time.
why am I sweating so much? Anyway, sorry.
We're just in the middle of a conversation at the time, and I'm just like, okay, I could have ended it here, but instead I'm like,
yeah. No,
just randomly doing Wookiee sounds for no reason. You know,
yeah, you make me feel better just saying things like
It's
that.
what it is. It happens. You know?
So describe to me what you do on YouTube for your gaming stuff. Like what do you have one game that you play? Do you have multiple?
I got a lot of
What do
games.
you like to lock into?
The main category for this channel is usually like first person
Yeah.
and first person shooter games,
Yeah.
but not like Call of Duty. I do play Call of Duty occasionally.
dare you.
Yeah, I know, right? I do play that occasionally more to come back to it and
That
check
is the
something
only
out.
game that exists.
But I do a lot of different stuff. Typically kind of go into the realm of more like sim and realistic style games. Like a big one's called Squad, which is like a 50 versus 50 kind
at
of
your
like
page.
military
Squad.
sort of style. Yeah, it's a really fun. It's super immersive. The sound design is incredible. In
It's
that
always
game.
online. It's always,
It's always there's
Are you
no
playing on a PC? You playing on a console?
Yeah, I play on
Okay.
PC now.
Do you build it?
Yeah. The one I've got
Fucking
now,
nerd.
yeah, I know. The one I built now is like I got it in 2021,
Fucking
the
nerd.
end of 2021, and I'd never had a PC before. But I got it mainly because I just started the channel.
What did you start on? Did you start on-
PS5.
Your-
Well,
P-
I mean,
Oh,
I started
Jesus.
on fucking Atari.
Back in
you know what I mean,
2001, I
technically.
started on PS5.
You know, but I started on
What a
like,
flex.
Atari is the first thing I ever had.
Okay.
And I've played Atari.
But I mean, like when
Nintendo.
you really started playing online games, were you a PlayStation guy then always?
Yeah, I
versus
mean, as far as
Xbox?
like modern stuff, I was
Yeah.
PlayStation. I was always I never had an Xbox. I did have Dreamcast as well.
Dude, Dreamcast was so
I had
fucking
Panasonic
sick.
3DO.
Yeah, I
If you remember that one, which was way too expensive, but it was still cool to have it.
Dreamcast. I played the baseball game on that, and then the Jet Moto. Was it Jet Moto? One of the jet ski games.
Yeah,
was, was a big
Yeah, yeah.
Dreamcast one for me.
House of the Dead, I think was one on there too. Their I don't know if it wasn't Madden, it was like NFL 2K.
Yeah,
It was 2K.
yeah, it
It
was
was
NFL
actually
2K.
awesome.
Yep.
What else did we have?
The
We had
fucking
PlayStation
glory,
2,
the glory days.
Siphon Filter,
Yeah,
and Metal
Siphon
Gear
Filter.
Solid, obviously, back in those days.
There's beer in there if you want it. I'm not going to force it on you. But I'm just letting you know it's there. There's some in that can. Anyways, Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid.
I'm actually going to sip another one of these.
Get in there.
And I think the reason is because I don't know what it is about beer now, but like beer.
No, that's fair.
I think
There's a lot
because
going on
I think
here.
because it's heavier. That like
Well, it's also because we're old.
yeah, it not only it hits you with a little alcohol, but it also like makes you like
Bloat.
a little bit.
But also,
Well, I'm gonna eat-
you were
I'm gonna-
talking about this earlier, right? Too,
I'm gonna
like
eat
the
again at some
sake,
point.
right? The
Yeah.
sake. There's like you said, there's like two things in it.
Yeah, it's the like about the cleanest kind of
I
alcohol
don't know if
you
it's
can drink.
podcasts and knowing too much about health from people who are quote unquote experts. It's like the more I hear things like two things, and I'm like, yeah, it's probably better. Like,
Yeah, as long as those two things aren't like poison
Right,
and poison, like generally, yeah, the less
it's like everything that you consume or get near is like that's packed with sugar. It's got a bunch of this in it. It's like,
and it's not like things with multiple stuff is bad.
really,
Either, but
that gluten in there is different compound, and it will fuck you up.
yeah, that's the thing is when you're talking beer, depending on, especially like and this is another reason to the cooking thing, me like kind of backing away from the cooking parties, because like when I'm at home now, especially now, because I'm starting to be more conscious of health and stuff a little bit. Like all I really cook for myself, unless I'm making a video or I'm having people over for dinner,
Yeah.
is I cook some kind of meat and I cook some kind of green vegetable
Yeah.
and maybe white rice. And I'll do some slightly different things to
Keep it spicy.
season it
Keep
and
it
whatever
spicy.
else. But that's all I need.
Yeah.
I don't really eat bread a whole lot. I mean, occasionally.
Good for you.
It's not even because the weird thing is like I don't care even. Like I just know like I don't need it, and I don't. And then when I decided to try to not eat some of that, I don't even care.
Yeah.
Which I thought for sure, but like, oh, there's no way I'll be able to give it up. And then I was
Yeah.
like, I don't even give a shit that I'm not eating bread.
Carbohydrates.
And white rice is a carbohydrate too,
Yeah.
but like you know,
Yeah, but it's fine. You cook it. Cook it the right way. Eat it in moderation. You're fine.
yeah, like fucking like a fistful of white rice
Yeah.
and like. I'm telling you, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, green beans.
Well, as long as they're roasted, as long as they're like roasted off, I'm good with that. I don't like boiled or steamed.
No.
Like,
Yeah, no.
but-
I saute in a pan.
Right.
Everything.
Brussels sprouts, amazing.
Yes.
Thank you, what am I thinking of? Sovereign for
Yeah,
making.
they do a good.
They normalized Brussels sprouts
They
for
do
me
a good
years
one,
ago,
too.
and then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Like,
I tell you what's a
these
good
are
idea
great.
too. You can toss Brussels sprouts like in or some kind of your favorite kind of oil, basically.
yeah.
And then put them in an air fryer, which
Yeah.
is great too.
Do
If
it
you
all
just
the
want
time.
something quick,
Do it
oven
all
works
the time.
great too.
It's better. It's better.
Even better is to reserve some bacon fat
Yep.
and then render it
Do that
down
too.
and toss it in that before you cook it, because then
Yes, sir.
then it gets weird in the best kind of way.
Yeah, Shannon will just chop up some bacon, cook that up, and then add it right into some Brussels sprouts that have been in the oven, for a minute, and just like a little dressing or sauce, or even like that Thai chili sauce that they use over at Sovereign.
Yeah.
It's so good with them. Any like
just do
lemon
a-
and salt is fine.
Yeah, so you
good
can even
with
do like
them.
a not a balsamic, but like a
balsamic's good
like
with
a
them
like
though,
a
too.
like a olive oil and
Yeah.
vinegar based just drizzle,
Yep.
just to give it a little zip, so it just cuts that fat a little bit,
Little
I mean,
zip, little zip.
asparagus, like anything, any of those.
Asparagus.
I'm a huge fan. I was such a shitty eater my whole life. Like I didn't.
I was
care
too.
about- I didn't.
Again,
fuck
COVID
with-
changed this for
I
me
didn't
too.
fuck with vegetables most of my life until I was married, and I was like, all right, I guess. And now I like prefer broccoli, and
Yeah,
I like to take cauliflower and just treat it like a chicken wing. I just take cauliflower and throw it in the air fryer.
I
and
like cauliflower, but
sometimes I'll put some like almond flour on it or something, or some sort of flour to like crisp out the edge.
Sure.
I don't need it though, and I'll take like Hooters jarred sauce, and throw that in there and toss it. And,
I'm a big advocate of raw vegetables too. Like I love cauliflower.
See, I don't eat raw vegetables pretty much at all.
Okay, so like I actually prefer
Like an
cauliflower
uncooked
raw.
broccoli, I won't like.
I'll do that. I mean,
munch on
I
it.
like
Maybe
it better
with ranch
cooked.
or something,
But cauliflower, I like better raw, and carrots. I'll eat cooked carrots, but I wouldn't ever do it intentionally if I didn't have to. I mean, if I get them with something, I'm always going to eat them because I like carrots. But
Shannon makes some cooked carrots with like some sweet stuff on them.
yeah,
They're
I
so
do.
good.
So here's the other thing too: is I do stay away from sugar. Like
Good for you.
I never drank pop as a kid. Really, I mean, I did, but I didn't drink like pop a lot.
Like a nice
we didn't have a lot of pop.
soda pop.
Little soda pop. Did I get a little soda pop there for you, guy?
My-
Come in there, guy.
My dad worked for 7-Up when I was a kid, so
Oh,
you can
shit.
imagine.
Okay.
He was,
Yeah.
worked for Kemmer Bottling. He brought home the first
Iced tea,
bottles
man.
of Snapple that came off
Unsweetened
the
iced tea.
productive lines.
Ooh. That was
Production lines.
same company did that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, they did 7-Up and Snapple and Tab, Dr. Pepper. He'd bring home cases of Dr. Pepper on the weekends and stuff. Yeah, I didn't have a chance. Dad's root beer.
Well, you should be happy that you're not 300 pounds.
I know, I'm lucky in that regard. But I also have a cold plunge and a sauna in my garage and a Bowflex downstairs and a treadmill. And I'm trying. I'm trying.
You were never like real heavy though,
Never.
were you? Right?
No,
yeah.
never,
You were
never.
probably
I've always
active
been
too.
little.
You've
Always been little.
I mean, sugar's not great, but I mean, if you even especially as a
Yeah.
kid, if you were normally active as a kid, then that will usually help to.
Yeah, I think
mitigate a lot of that
genetically,
shit.
like I think I'm lucky. Yeah, I think more than anything, genetically I'm lucky, and I do try. I won't say that I'm consistent. I told you this before we started. I was like, the consistency is always the problem for me.
I think
just
that's
going
not
through
just you,
streaks.
man. I think that's a lot of people. I think that's hardest thing to do.
Biking
with
was the
anything.
latest thing. Got a bike, was doing that. Then as soon as it got cold, I was like, "Fuck this bike! Like this bike can suck my dick."
Well, that's when you get the indoor bike.
yeah.
you
well,
know.
I'm not ready yet.
I'm not ready for all that.
That was the whole thing. It was like a stress release to get outside and be out like on the bike. And now I'm like, I'm not gonna do it in the fucking basement. It's sad down there too. Like I don't want to be doing all
you
that.
got to get a bike in the front of a window or
Yeah,
something
right.
at least if you're going to do it inside. Like in a basement, just like, what am I doing down here?
I keep detracting from the video game stuff. So like,
No.
are we doing this? Like, is this happening? Like, when can I
Yeah,
go on Twitch right now? Can I go on?
I do have a
YouTube?
Twitch.
What
I
am
do
doing?
have a Twitch. It's at Older Than Average Gamer. I've got a Kick channel as well, which I haven't used a ton. So the problem with Twitch and Kick is that you can only stream at 720p unless you're an affiliate or like you're sponsored by them. And that's just, I don't like the fact that it's that low quality.
Really?
Yeah,
I like your
I think it's
standards.
kind of garbage. So I mean, I still do
Proud
it
of you.
because I feel like as somebody starting streaming a little bit, I need to
You got
be.
some followers on here. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
my followers on YouTube are not from streaming though. That's from doing videos,
Right.
Creating
Okay.
like settings help videos. I do like controller settings videos for like
do you still
Battlefield.
do that?
Not as much as I did because some of these games are just been out for too long.
Yeah, so everybody knows this shit already.
Or some of it's like reviewing or featuring or previewing a new game or a new update for the games that I follow. I've probably got like 5 to 6 games that I do content for specifically, and then I will jump into anything else that's similar if it's got something new coming out that I can jump into.
Do you love this? Is this something that you feel passionate about?
I have a ton
or
of
you
fun. I
just,
love it. I do. I have a ton of fun. And I've been doing it now enough to where like I get invited to do like early creator play tests. I get
that's
invited
cool.
to like closed sessions that only certain people get into.
Yeah,
Like I got into one for a game called Gray Zone Warfare. Something more recently for one called Delta Force, and like only certain people could play those.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So it's like it's cool having done it enough now where you're getting opportunities to do things where not everybody can do them, and it allows you early access to something that you can create content for.
yeah,
that
selfishly,
makes
it's
you,
cool, but
yeah, it's super cool. But then it also gives you a leg up on something if you're going to make a video for it.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be one of just a handful of people, or maybe not a handful, but a much smaller percentage of people.
yeah,
who
drive some
even
people to that channel, discover
exactly,
you.
who only have certain access to that for that amount of time. So. And then I've met a ton of cool people doing it too. And
Yeah.
I went to Scotland 8 years ago to visit my family, but I also met a bunch of people from my gaming group back then.
Oh, that's weird.
Who we played Battlefield
Scottish boys are into it, huh?
with. Scottish, English, German,
Yeah.
and a couple other Americans too. So when I went to Germany,
Stupid Americans.
I had 2 friends that lived out there. One is in the Air Force, and
Okay.
he married somebody from Stuttgart.
Stuttgart.
You have to say
That's the way you
Stuttgart.
say it.
If it's ST, you have to say Sht. So.
All right.
And then my other friend
I'll work on it.
always been from Germany, but she couldn't come out and meet us when we went to Scotland 7 years ago. When I went to Scotland, so like I always said, hey, listen, I'll come to Germany sometime. And it just this year I had time to do it, so I just
Jesus
made it
Christ!
work.
It took us 2 hours and 20 minutes, but we finally got to your trip to Germany. We did it.
Oh, yeah.
We did it.
Yeah.
We did it. Holy shit! So me and Alex have been going back and forth a little bit for the last couple of weeks about nailing down a date for us to sit down and have a little chat, and we talked about doing it and just trying to squeeze it in, and then like duh. Like he's about to go to fucking Germany. Maybe we should let him go to Germany. But instead, we took 2 hours and 20 minutes talking about I don't know what.
I'm glad you said it though. Here, I'll just say this: Germany was great.
All right, that's it for us tonight. Have a good night.
I think if you have the opportunity to travel abroad, particularly, but travel in general, find time to do it.
Yeah, I got to learn that.
Find
That's
time
a
to do
lesson
it.
At 40, I need to learn still.
Even if it's just for a couple. So like this wouldn't be so much abroad, but I mean, Canada's not that far away. Neither is Mexico. But even if it's just for 2 days, you know, if you can find 2 days or 3 days,
Seems like a lot for 2 days.
go do it, because even Mexico's a little more, you know, different obviously than here. But like I went to Toronto in 2019 right before COVID with my buddy Eric Tothero, who you know.
Yeah.
And
Dave Matthews himself. Yes.
yeah. And we drove up there. We drove. It was only 7.5 hours to get to Toronto from here, which is not.
That's wild.
Yeah, I didn't.
Really?
I didn't think. I thought it would be way.
That doesn't make
farther.
sense in my head.
It
at
doesn't
all.
make sense to me either.
That's
but
crazy.
that's how close it
Good for
actually
you
is.
guys. How high were you? No,
Not
I'm
at
just
all.
kidding.
Not at all.
Kidding.
But we drove there. It was Toronto was an amazing city.
Dude,
some
I hear
really,
so many amazing things about Toronto.
really cool stuff going on. And then on the way back, we got back into the country like 2 days before COVID hit and everything
That's
closed
fucked
down.
up. Was it wild?
doubt.
Like not COVID aside, was it like okay? Like customs, everything like the
It was
border,
easy. Super
no
easy.
worries?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, on the way back, we had like
Passports, like
Yeah,
easy, basic shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's so common for people to drive across. You know,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
you know, it was
They got
not,
it down.
not difficult at all. Yeah.
So the Germany, like when obviously this isn't your first time going over the pond.
First time in Germany though, but yeah.
But just that
Yeah, yeah.
style of travel. I guess what I was getting at, because I was going to say like how in advance did you do this? Like did you like start planning a year ago?
About 6 months ago.
Okay.
I booked my flight like 5 to 6 months ago.
What was I mean, did you have like just I'm doing this for fun?
Like I said,
or were you
I
like, hey, there's a specific reason I'm going to go at this time.
I told my friend that I told my friend a couple of years ago, like I'll come see you, because like I've always wanted to go to Germany anyways, and I know somebody else there too. It's like I'll come see you. And we just talked about it, and then last year she was like, "Hey, what do you think? You still want to come out?" And we're like, "Yeah, you know what? Absolutely. I'm gonna look at some flights." At the time I was looking, they were like, I looked through some, and I was like, I don't know.
It's like 11 billion both ways. That's fine.
Yeah, no. It was. I say what I found round trip for $700.
Oh shit, let's go.
Yeah, which is not bad
Yes.
on Lufthansa.
You'll take it.
Too. So $700. Both. Well, that's not true. One of them I had to stop in Munich on the way home, but
Spirit Airlines.
fucking, I'll never do that again.
Oh,
I
you done that
gotta.
before?
Don't let me
let's
forget.
hold
But
that
I've got
fucking-
something for Spirit.
Thank you,
Lufthansa
Spirit.
might be the best airline I've ever flown, because like on the way there and the way back, like you can, they've got entertainment for you on the back, you know, on the little TV in the back of the seat. That's like they've got. I mean, I thought you had to pay for this shit, but you don't.
No.
Your ticket buys you like
It's everything.
there's like 150 movies that you can watch, and they're all like new. Like new.
Oh,
I watched
let's go.
Fly Me to the Moon on the way there,
Yeah.
which is like new. That's a
I
new
don't know what
movie.
that is, but thank you. Is it,
Scarlett
Frank
Johansson
Sinatra?
and what's his name? Channing Tatum.
So Channing Tatum.
Channing
yes.
Tatum.
Tatum.
Channing Tatum.
Yes, that's correct.
Anyways,
that is correct, sir.
Lufthansa was a great flight experience. I'll just say that. If you ever have a chance to fly,
Lufthansa.
if you ever have a chance to fly Lufthansa, do it, because you will be in the sky.
And you will hear his voice just like that.
Not-
We got headwinds. coming
Voices
at us,
may
and,
change depending on the flight.
Headwinds at 53 miles an hour.
This is your captain speaking.
Dude, you have a great captain speaking
We
voice.
are flying over the Atlantic air traffic right now, looking for the jet stream. It's currently 22 degrees Celsius. It's just beautiful if you're in Frankfurt. Yeah.
You're like, this is America, man. I don't know no Celsius.
Actually, it was kind of funny because both flights, the captain was German. She's
Hell
like,
yeah.
hello, we're going to tell you about the flight today. And
Sprechen Sie
yes, this is your captain speaking. We are trying to get to a point where we will tell you how we get there. Yes. So hold tight, hold very tight, and we will get back to you very shortly.
You're
Yeah.
held
Yeah.
tight.
We're like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna hold
Yeah,
tight.
I like
then.
this guy.
Yeah.
I like
Cool.
this guy's whole vibe.
This is great. This is great.
I don't know where we were going. Oh, that's the nicest airline you've ever flown.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So long. So really.
no long story short. We don't do that here. Anywho.
So Germany was great. People were very nice. Everybody speaks English, basically,
Just
too,
fucking nuts.
which I didn't
So
really
nuts.
expect.
That's the way the world is.
I thought I was going to like kind of get by just with my friends kind of helping, but it turns out that wasn't necessary, which was great. So I mean, also that's a place where if you're looking for a non-English speaking country in Europe to visit that is easily accessible and is friendly to English speaking people, Germany's great for it. I would say France is not as friendly to. I mean, I'm sure you've heard that before, but it's
in like a stereotypical way.
But it's totally true. A lot of French people just pretend like they don't speak English. That's what I was told by Germans. What I was told by English people. What I was told by like a
I
lot.
love that for them.
They're like we don't care what you do. You
Yes.
can leave if you'd like.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't give a shit, and that's fine. But Strasbourg,
Sometimes I
France.
just like those people. I don't know.
Strasbourg, France is right on the border of Germany, on the Rhine River. And it's a beautiful architecture, old city. And there is a cathedral there that I don't think did I show you that?
No,
I
you
don't
didn't
think
show it to me, but you did. You did mention it when you came over.
Do you have?
Should I look it up?
Yeah.
What
So
what
do you
tell me
have? Do you have the Book of Face on there?
We do have the Book of Face.
So if you go to my
you keep talking about it, I'll go to your
if you go to my
face and books.
personal page, not my music
My
page.
personal
So I went there.
burner page.
It's a super old city. It's been around for a very long time. Like I said, it's right on the Rhine
That's
River.
The face I'm talking about. Right there. That's like I crap myself.
One of the first things you see when you get there, once you get closer to like the downtown area, if you want to call it that, is a thing called the Cathedral de Notre Dame.
So where are we at here?
No, this is not it. This is
Okay.
This is a different castle somewhere else. It'll be there you go.
One of
What-
many
and one of
castles I
those.
visit.
So this particular cathedral was the construction of it was started, and I'm going to get this date wrong, I think, but it was I'm going to be close. But it was started around 1019 AD. Okay, and it didn't get completed until 1469, which is
69,
yeah,
dude.
which is a very long time. Oh, so there's one of these in here is kind of funny because there's a sign in front of a building. Keep going the way you were going.
Sorry.
You're gonna run into it. It's like one of the first ones because I thought it was hilarious, and it just says, "Keep going," and it just says "fat,
Oh yeah.
fat, fat,"
Fat.
which is the way I felt the first couple of days I was there, and it was because every time I travel on a plane, particularly like if it's over a 4-hour flight, I get immediately constipated for like a day,
Yeah.
at least a day.
Yeah.
Sometimes more if it's.
I
longer,
celebrate
it's
every vacation shit I've ever taken. My vacation
takes
shit.
a while to get
If
me
I'm
there.
regular
you know.
on vacation. I'm feeling
I
pretty
figured
good.
out well, there's two things. One, you got to drink a lot of water on the plane, particularly because
fair.
the plane's so dry. You're so dry up there. Also, you ever looked at what happens to your water bottle that you're half
Yeah,
drank? And the same thing's going on in there. Not to
Yeah.
the same extent, but it does happen.
Compacting shit.
Yes. Literally compacting shit.
Yes.
The other thing too is magnesium sulfate is great. Is
okay.
great to
Yeah.
take because it helps to kind of
Yeah,
it
that
helps to
makes sense.
bring water into your lower intestines.
Yeah.
So it's a great little tool, but it's only
Little
good.
hack.
It's only good if you're also hydrating too, because otherwise you're just gonna just water poop and then just gonna still be stuck poop all over the place. This is really I don't think anybody needs to know this, but
And that is my trip to Germany.
so So why was the cathedral so nice? Because I wasn't constipated.
Yeah.
No, but it was a beautiful, unbelievably beautiful.
I took a
building.
big old shit in that cathedral.
And I drank my first French, like real French wine there. It was
Yeah.
at Bordeaux.
How'd that go?
One of them was okay. The other one was awesome.
Like mind blowing a little bit, or like
I was saying mind blowing because like it's hard to blow my mind
But I
unless we're
want-
talking
I want
about
it
like
to be
physics
like-
or something.
I
But
wanted to be like you could only do this in Bordeaux. Like, that's why it's called Bordeaux.
Bordello of blood.
Yeah. That's Tales from the Crypt,
That's
right?
right. But yeah, the first Bordeaux I had, or the first good one I had, was really good. The very first one was okay.
But it was like I could probably get something like this in the U.S. if I wanted to.
No. The one that was good, no, because like it's not like Cabernet. It's not
Bordeaux,
like Pinot.
France.
Yeah,
Man.
it did taste very
to
different.
Be very close to Bordeaux, France.
It definitely had its own thing going on. Oddly enough, the cheaper one I thought was better than the more expensive one.
Yeah, I see that a lot now.
I think
Wine,
Bordeaux
beer, bourbon, tequila,
are very
all.
dry.
Okay.
The cheaper one was a little wetter.
And a little wetter,
and
a little sweeter, a little
slightly
less,
sweeter, but not. But it was just more. It was just less dry. Yeah.
Bit,
First of all, there shouldn't be acid. There shouldn't be that much acidity on it at all.
Yeah.
Ideally, I mean, like that means you've got too much air getting in.
Bordeaux is what, a dessert wine, really? No,
it
Bordeaux's
depends.
It's a bigger wine, though, isn't it?
It's
it's got a big mouthfeel, like a big body to it.
I think it's.
Maybe I'm wrong. I could be completely wrong, so don't take anything I'm saying.
I would I would compare Bordeaux more to like a fuller Cabernet.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
As far as its feel, right?
Buttery cab.
But it's not that buttery though. That's the thing. It's traditionally not. It's like it's just a little bit more. It's just a little bit more wet. I mean, typically, like really good cab is dry, but still manages to be just wet enough that you can you're not like
stings the nostrils in a good way.
Yeah.
So what was the highlight? What was like? What was the seminal moment of the trip, or multiple?
I think I think that whole day in Strasbourg was probably the best thing. I mean, downtown Stuttgart was also very fun. I can't say Stuttgart.
I like the
Stuttgart.
Just say it.
Stuttgart.
Everybody's buying it.
Hallo, auf Wiedersehen.
You're like, I bet you're dropping those on them all day.
Everybody's always like, and I was one of these people. There was like, the German language is so aggressive. It just sounds like if you like. Turns out it's not that aggressive. Actually, you're that joke is being made like because of Hitler.
That's
basically.
a stereotype.
Yeah, and it's like every time you walk into a place, I walk into any coffee shop in there, and they're like, "Hello." I'm like, "Oh, hello."
I like that.
I can't help myself.
The Swedish guy from what's it called? Frozen. I'm thinking of Frozen.
I was thinking like the
big
Swedish
summer
show.
blowout. I have children, so
yeah,
Frozen.
Yeah.
Frozen.
So yeah, they're very friendly. They're very welcoming. And the food is very good too. And I think I thought it would be more expensive because I was in Europe, but it was pretty comparably priced. Almost in a lot of cases, it was even a little bit cheaper. But I think part of the reason because they also portion their stuff like regular human beings would, which is like, you go to dinner and it's not like a plate of food that literally is on the edges of every plate. Which when you're here at home,
there's some
when you're already at home and you only have to go 20 minutes back home and you're not like on vacation, that's great. Yeah. But if you're on vacation, it's actually better when you get like a meal that is just made to make you not hungry anymore.
I'm going to be shitting myself soon.
Yeah, exactly. Or just made to be sleeping soon. And there's a lot to do in downtown Stuttgart. A lot of things to do.
Did you like come home with any like stories? Like, did you like I have like this is, you know what I'm saying?
Nothing weird.
People
No.
have stories. People always have like you have a vault of stories.
I
always equated to like you start dating someone. Like
I was
a new
only there
person,
for a week, and I met.
Good story. You bring out the good stuff.
Here's the thing: I was only there for a week, and I missed. And like 2 of those days, I had to was just me getting over jet lag. So like really, I was there for like 6 days. You lose a day going there.
Well, how'd you attack it?
The first day I attacked it by going straight to a place card.
Place card.
I do a place called the Stuttgart Central Market. I think is how it roughly translates, and it was like just a big indoor market where you can get meat and cheese and wine and dessert and all kinds of shit. Right. So that's about all I could handle for the first day because I got on a plane at 3:30 p.m. and then got to Stuttgart at 11:30 a.m. the next day.
Okay.
Because that's just 7 hours ahead over there.
That's how it works.
Yeah. So it was just like, okay. And then the second day was I got up a little earlier than I needed because I didn't know what time to sleep till. So I got up and I just walked.
Are you staying by yourself here?
No, I'm staying with my friend,
okay.
One of my friends. And I got up and I got up at like 5 a.m. So I got up way early. and I just put my clothes, shoes on, and I just walked into town and went to a little bakery and went to a coffee house and sat down and just drank a cup of coffee by myself. Just kind of watched people walking around town in this little tiny part of Stuttgart called Filderstadt. Filderstadt in I already forgot the greater name. So Stuttgart's the main city. Filderstadt would be like a suburb of Stuttgart.
Oh, but there's like a city there almost.
Yeah,
that
Stuttgart is the city.
Okay.
Stuttgart's like the Joliet, and then
you travel all the way for that?
yeah. Well, no, it's been much better, but I mean, it's like a neighborhood of Stuttgart's.
You're
it's like
Austin.
Is
you're,
like
you're
Joliet
different.
sized. I mean, like population wise, but like way cooler.
You're
buildings,
Lakeview, you're Gold Coast.
Yeah,
you're-
exactly.
yeah.
And it's about 25 minutes from downtown Stuttgart. And it's like just old little houses in a hill, set up in a hill. Stuttgart's all in like a valley too.
Okay.
So when you're anywhere from Stuttgart, depending on where you're at, you're looking at like either stuff up here or stuff down there or stuff straight across, but you got to look through, something's going through it. It's it kind of reminds me of Cincinnati, like as far as like how it's set, you know what I mean? Except for there's not a river running in the middle of it. Cincy's a fun town too. I tell you what, Cincinnati and Newport,
I like that
Kentucky.
you're comparing the two.
I couldn't help myself.
Look at this. This is a good visual representation, I think,
Yeah.
of what you're saying. Right?
Yeah. Yep, that's like, and that's just the like residential area, I guess. Like there's the city isn't
Well,
even
it seems
in
like
that.
what you were talking about.
Oh, there's the market
Do
there.
you want some meats?
Sausage.
You want some sausage?
Check out that. Was that a nice leg they got?
Yeah,
there?
yeah, that's a prosciutto leg right there.
Of course. So on all
A
the
little
prosciutto.
prosciutto leg, baby.
Prosciutto. Ooh,
Some head cheese, I think, is in there,
my
and some
God.
just straight up sausages.
look at this.
I ate a lot of meat and a lot of cheese and a lot of what the hell was it called? I don't remember. Gruel wine, not gruel wine. It was like ghoul wine or something.
wine.
But it basically it's a red sweet wine that you drink hot.
Ooh.
It was delicious. It was
turns me
amazing.
off right now.
It tastes like hot grape juice.
Okay. I don't know if I like that.
It was amazing. It was really really good.
Okay.
And good with like a good like sharp cheese. Or
A sharp
really
cheese.
anything.
Sharp
Honestly,
cheese good with most things, but
that's true. That's 100% true. A good Stilton. You ever had Stilton cheese?
no, dude, I have no cheese-based knowledge. Like, there's zero cheese-based
I've got
knowledge.
no cheese-based knowledge
Yeah,
here.
no,
Zero.
you can just start throwing names out. I'll just be like, yep, that guy knows exactly what he's talking about. I'll let him take this from
Well,
here.
I'll tell you, Sausage cheese is one of the best cheeses in the
Remember
whole
when we talked
sausage
about
world.
getting over our skis sometime? This is a conversation I will not enter into, at least in any sort of pretense that I know anything about.
I don't know much about cheese other than just a bunch of cheeses I've tried that I liked. You know what I mean? So
Dope.
yeah,
You like a nice stinky cheese.
I
huh?
do. The
Yeah.
stinkier the
You're a
better.
stinkier guy.
Give me some
You're a gorgonzola
Keflatiri.
type guy, like you like that.
I mean, I
Gorgonzola's
wouldn't-
like the stereotypical.
Gorgonzola is
For
pretty
people that
stinky.
don't know cheese that well, gorgonzola is like the one they're like, oh, that's a stinky cheese.
It is a stinky cheese. Stilton is stinkier. I'll
Still
say that.
much stinkier.
But here, Greeks make some stinky ass cheese
Yeah,
too.
they do.
Feta is a very stinky cheese, but it's
Yeah,
more appealing
yeah.
to a lot of people because
Salty
it doesn't
as
look
shit.
weird. It doesn't look weird either.
All that saltiness.
It's pure
and
white,
Yeah.
right? So a lot of people eat with their eyes, obviously.
Light it on
you know.
fire. Like,
No, that's a different cheese.
That's a different
That's
cheese.
Keflatiri.
there you go.
Or there's two different kinds. But
Sure.
Keflatiri is usually the one you make saganaki with.
Saganaki, okay, all right.
Saganaki is also really easy to make. Super fucking easy to make.
Ah, here comes the cooking guy
Super
again.
easy. Super easy.
Many personalities.
I should make that'd be a great short
There you
video.
go.
Would be
Lock
to do
it in. Lock it in,
Because
guys.
saganaki tastes like
I want to
10
hear
minutes
follow
to
up
make.
if he doesn't make one.
From
I want
prep to done,
see
it's
people
5-10
angry that
minutes.
you haven't made one now because you said it.
Why
You said
haven't
it.
you made that saganaki
You
video?
said it on
you
that obscure podcast you were on.
I said I was going to make a Nagasaki video. It's
No,
going to be
Nagasaki.
historical.
It's going to be Nagasaki with sake and saganaki. Dude, that's it. Make that video.
I'm going to cook. This is
Make that
going to be.
video.
This
You're
is
gonna
very
drink
insensitive.
sake while you talk about
I
Nagasaki.
said I'm going to cook saganaki
saganaki.
with a nuclear reaction.
Let's fucking do it.
Boom.
No,
Oh shit.
No Maillard here.
Boom.
No Maillard here. Boom. That was really good.
Oh,
Not
shit.
not by design. So what's next? What's next? I won't keep you hostage in the studio for too much longer. So what's next for Alex Hoffer? What do you want to jump into first? Like we talked about, obviously
voiceover work,
slow and mute. Dude, you would be. I'm no bullshit. You would be incredible. At that.
So that
I don't know how you would get into that, but
it's
I hope
not.
you do.
I mean, it's not super easy to get into, but I am doing like submissions for stuff now, and I have
send
them
him
for the
this
last
2-3 hour podcast.
couple months.
You
Yeah,
can get all my voices.
Like literally today, I just sent in a submission for reading for a medical. It would be played for people. It's hard to do because some of these you don't even know the context 100%.
Right.
You're just reading something.
But
it's like, welcome to today's seminar about medical information. Today we're talking about sublax, and I had to learn a bunch of words that I didn't know how to pronounce them because they were like medications or whatever. Like Bixtari and such can be also be used as great coagulants for certain things.
Thicken up your blood real quick.
Yeah, so I did. I woke up this morning. I knew I got an email from the online site that I'm on that I have the free version. Yeah, I have the free version, so I don't get enough emails yet because I'm just like I don't know if I want to pay that much money to not know.
Yeah.
But I got an email last night. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and do that first thing. So I got up, got a coffee, came back to the house, set up my shit, and then looked up all the words that were on it. They're like, I'm pretty sure I know how to say those because I'm pretty good with phonetics and stuff.
Yeah.
But I just need to make sure. So I looked at all the pronunciations, all the shit I didn't know, and sent them over. And I'm like, okay, I know how to say that. So I already forgot them now. Okay, hold on a second. I saw the email, so I can actually read at least one of these.
A fucking weird
because some of these are fucking weird. Weird. Okay. Oh yeah. So then my email for this stuff is OK Cool Entertainment because that's going to be the LLC for all my entertainment stuff.
I like that. Please just send this in as a submission.
Okay, here we go. The script is a bit sample script. Welcome to today's medical briefing, where we explore advancements in treatments for chronic conditions and diseases. Let's dive into some groundbreaking medications and how they're transforming lives. For managing type 2 diabetes, we have Ozempic, Wegovy, and semaglutide, part of the GLP-1 receptor agonist class. These medications, along with dulaglutide...
You're going to go to hell for advertising these things.
Or Trulicity. Are we not allowed to say any of this shit?
No, it's fine. Okay. You can say all that. I don't care. I'm just saying you're going to hell for promoting these things. Semaglutides. That's going to be the fall of society right
this is just the thing, though. And this is not for... So what this is for, too, is this is just going to be a talking thing that just people in a closed room are hearing, right? It's
right.
It's not going into the public at all.
This guy's working for Big Pharma.
So it's just you're going to hear my voice reading. There's a bunch of people, a bunch of doctors, sitting around or whatever, sitting around. They're just hearing this before they go into something else.
It's like that holding room at the Great America Universal Studios where they show you the little film.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe you should.
When you're on the ride, make sure that you hold all hands and feet inside.
Dude.
Batman is not actually here today, so make sure you don't look for him.
You would fucking nail that. You could totally do that.
So
hopefully that's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. That's
some opportunity.
My number one thing that I want to do by the end of this coming year, I want to have a little bit of a foothold going in doing some voice work. I really want to do it. I can do it from home, and you can work a lot. You can work as much as you want once you get going with it, and it pays well. It's fun for me to do. Ideally, too, it's in everything. It's like music in the fact that it's in fucking everything.
I need you on Audible.
They're in
the thing is
reading books is totally a thing.
I do like when people that write the books read the books, but not every time you're going to get a person that should be reading the book that wrote the book.
100%.
So we need you.
I would love to read Dune and Dune Messiah.
Right.
Because I've read both those books.
You need to be in this field. I need you here. I'm going to give you my Harry Potter book, and I'll pay you to read it to me, and then I can read.
Perfect.
That's amazing. I love this whole idea. I feel like I'm gonna come up with a script for you to read for the intro of the show that you can read. Just a couple words, just quick. It's an 8-second intro.
Yeah.
Bam, 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 and then I want to hear your voice like, welcome to the
Oh,
Average
you
Joe
found
and
us.
Friends.
Welcome back.
I'm going to have you at the end, too. Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
Did you enjoy the show? Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Was that me on this episode?
Oh,
You're
it's
gonna
just me
be,
talking to myself.
Kramer talking to movie phone. Why don't you just tell me the name of the movie?
Why don't you just tell me the name of the movie you're looking for?
Oh, God damn it. So we got voice work. So what's next? What's the next focus on YouTube, though? Like you want to dive deeper into the food stuff?
Well,
You
for
wanna try the gaming stuff.
until I can get a little more time, I need to. So the reality is, I need to get the voice thing going before I can. I think put the time into the food aspect of the YouTube thing, because the voice acting will allow me to play less music. Because like
you got to buy yourself
I can
some
bang
time,
out
basically.
a project for voice acting like over the course of a whole week at like 2 hours at a time, 2 to 4 hours at a time at most. With music, it's like 3 to 5 days a week. And sometimes every time it's 4 or 5 days, and then you're also like you're gone for 6 to 12 hours depending on where you're going, where you're at.
Seriously.
So like, I need to get that a little more.
Have you done anything voice yet? Have you done?
I've done a couple.
Paid?
One paid, one not paid, and a couple things for some family and friends, and their friends for stuff like a food pantry and stuff. Just little things. So I have a demo reel and stuff, like
cool.
that. Which has got me doing a couple of the things I've produced for people, and then just me doing voices and reading from stuff in different character voices. So like I can do accents and I can do these things. I can
You
do
got
that
the Scottish one going.
I've got the Scottish one for sure. So no doubt about that, lad. Absolutely no doubt.
Jesus Christ. You should go see, what's his name was just here, right? Craig Ferguson. I think he was
All
just
right,
in town. I
yeah.
think he was at the Rialto
I do
recently.
I like Craig Ferguson too.
And he's
I
got
like
that
him.
voice, right?
That's right, he does.
Well, you want to throw out like, the music side. I feel like we're like being negative towards your music side because we're like trying to get out of it. We're trying to pull out. We're trying to pull out.
No, well, I mean, it's like I'm trying to not get pregnant with music, but
we're trying to pull out.
I'd like the opportunity to sort of highlight anything that I'm doing that isn't music right now, because I've been doing. I mean, the reality is like I've got some newer tunes, but they're not that new. They're like 2 to 4 years old now. The newest songs that I've got. I still haven't recorded them because I just haven't had the time to, and I can't. I
get it.
So
what do you have recurring stuff that people like? Because obviously this will come out like next Monday, so I don't want people to be like, oh, he was at a specific place on Friday.
No,
but if you have recurring stuff you want to throw out and stuff, maybe that's like a bigger event that you might want to throw out.
I stopped doing open mics a little while ago just because I just needed
You've earned
for my own mental health.
You've earned that, buddy.
Excuse me, but I do every Sunday. I play at every Sunday I play at the Hampton Social. At the Hampton Social.
You just made that up. That's not a
No,
real thing.
it doesn't sound real.
The
The Hampton
Hampton Inn.
Social in South Barrington, 4:30 to 6:30, and then I've got a little. You said this comes out on Monday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Skip that one.
I'm doing the Joliet Bourbon Club at the Ovation Center from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
How do I get into that?
In Joliet on
You
December
get a
5th.
hook up on the Bourbon Club? I want to know what
You would go to
they're sipping on.
Yeah, you would go to the Ovation Club, I think, or the Joliet Bourbon Club group, and then you can get a ticket through that. I'm doing the Wine Exchange in Geneva on December 7th.
All class, this guy.
And some other fun stuff.
God, you're such an asshole.
This is a cool one. This is actually really cool. I mean, there's a bunch of ones, but this is one of the coolest ones. Coming up December 14th, I'm doing a show with a bunch of artists and musicians at the Mar Theater in downtown Wilmington.
Okay.
And it's a Christmas show. So, like, for instance, I'm singing and playing on 2 songs, and then playing harmonica with a couple people on a couple other songs. And there's like, I think there's like 8 or 9 singers, and then there's like 15 musicians, and it's like a 2.5 hour show. It's all Christmas, not even all Christmas songs.
Not just Christmas
you've
songs,
heard of.
but
yeah, like some of them are like
deep cuts.
Yeah, I'm doing Run Run Rudolph, which you have heard of, I'm sure. But then I'm also doing Merry Christmas Baby by an old blues guy named Charles Brown. I already forgot the guy's name.
Say it like you know it.
But it's a Charles Brown. But it's a very blues song. But I'd never heard it before. But But it'll be a really cool show. It's a very cool venue. The Mara Theater is a really cool spot, and it's not that far away.
It's Christmas.
Yeah, and
People like the spirit.
I want to say
Spirit of the
it's like going to be
holidays.
6 to 8 p.m. or maybe it's 7 to 9 p.m. But it's fairly early, and there's a lot of fun stuff to do downtown there. Right after like good walking distance, like go have a
The
nightcap.
brewery down there.
Yeah,
the
Route 66. Paulie
you
Bidney
can- Paul-
over
Dude,
there.
I saw Paulie on the train a couple days ago for a big festival out in the city.
He's a nice guy.
Paulie, if you're listening to this, you were fucked up on the train.
Oh, Paulie.
I got Paulie.
I
Paulie's
I've
a Joliet
known-
Brewers Guild member. I
I've
met
known
him
him
at
for a long
Chicago
time.
Street, which is
Yeah,
one of the places
me
I
too.
watched you play music 100 different times, probably. So.
that's where I first met Paul as well. Him and his beard, although he got significantly smaller in the beard, and it kind of threw me off last time I saw him.
Beard's pretty big right now.
Good.
He had a full Santa representation thing happening.
It needed to
on the
come
train.
back. It needed to come back.
Well, let me say this. Thank you, first of all, for coming out tonight and
Thank
doing
you for
the
having me.
podcast.
That
It tells me we're going to do something else. We're going to do something else together at some point. I don't know whether
I
it's
think
me helping you with a video or you coming out and doing something else with me. We're
Maybe a
going to
little
do
bit of
something. Do you want to play a new song, like an original that you've been tampering with? You want to say fuck it? You don't have to. No, it's there if you want it. If not, we can just wrap her up.
I don't think so. I
Yeah,
don't think so.
that's fine.
I
I'm
feel
good with
like
that.
I've been drinking now too, and like I'm.
Yeah, you don't
my
want
voice
you
is
don't have a
finicky.
poor representation of a new song
My
either.
voice is fuck
I don't
it,
want
let's
that.
Do it. Let's do it.
No, I don't want to have.
Let's
I
do
don't
it.
want.
Let's do it.
You're like you challenging me right
Let's
now.
do it.
You challenging me right now.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Probably gonna have to tune her up. I mean, see, I knew there was a method to my madness of why I had a guitar hanging here the whole time. And again, I don't have this set up for the sound, anything. We're just gonna have
it's
to
gonna
rely on your ear and my. The guitar's actually not bad. I know you're looking at it. You're like, that's a Yamaha, like whatever.
It
But,
feels nice.
but it's actually a neat, decent. You probably want to tune it up maybe a little bit.
It sounds like in perfect.
I
tune.
got a tuner if you want it. I got
Sounds-
an electric
sounds
tuner,
good.
or I'm sure you can do it by ear. He already broke it. He's like, we're not doing this.
Caught it like a limp thing.
We're not doing this. Sorry, I hope this wasn't like
Check. Hey.
I thought you were gonna play I Had the Time of My Life for a second there. No.
I'm just a regular Joe with a regular.
God damn it. You would.
Okay.
You gonna play fucking tribute.
You don't need a key. I'll just do it without a key.
If you I mean if you got a new song you're excited about, or you know.
I know I can't face your mind, and I wouldn't do that too. But you know I'm still right about it. Yeah, I'm still gonna write about it. And looking through a rusty hole just to see the gold glowing. That's the way to go, but I know I've done you wrong not to see them well now for who you are. Well, there's a mountain on the side you can't seem to see. You're I know, I know, I know, I know, I know you. I know, I know, I know, I know my love. Oh, no, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know I love you. And when love needs you.
All right, so I know you've done like Windy City. I know you've done like some of these like TV shows and that. I think it's the most awkward thing when people have to do like a radio spot or like that live TV when they come out of it.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird? Like your last chord stops and like the hosts are supposed to be like, yeah,
Very good. Very good. That was very nice of you.
yeah, bring your mic up to you now that you're done ripping.
Right. Yeah, it can be, especially because it's also just like a TV
it's
show is a
probably
little
loose now.
awkward just because of the general.
Probably pull the mic out and then twist the little holder.
Check. That's all right.
Because it's probably all fucking loose now. Yeah. Pull the mic off of the stand. Yeah, just pull the mic off. Yeah, and then twist that until you like where it's at. And then try to. Hopefully it'll hold better now.
Yeah.
It happens almost every episode.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but I think that a lot of that's just like in studio stuff is always because it's just quiet.
It's just impossible.
It's
Like
just dead
it's
quiet.
set for voices to talk on the radio,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
it is. The song sounded awesome, by the way.
Thanks.
I mean, I've always been a big fan, but is that's a fairly recent song?
Yeah, that's
any
newer.
like inspiration, any like that where it came
That's
from?
about
anything?
like that's just about like being okay with the way something worked out for the first time. Like a lot of stuff I'd written before were just like, oh, it didn't work, and I hate it. I don't like it. And then now it's just like, okay, well, sometimes shit doesn't work out, and that's okay. And just look at it from like, okay, but what did work when it was good was a good thing.
Yeah, initially you were like, no, I'm not playing this song, my boy. And you're like, you know what, Joe, you're challenging me right now. I'm going to fucking do it.
I didn't know what I was going to play. I mean, I had no clue. I was just like, oh, okay, that'll be the one.
Sounded good. Sounded really good.
That'll be the one.
So is that available anywhere yet, or is that still pretty
No,
fresh?
that's not. There's like that one and like 7 other ones that aren't recorded yet.
Do you still have stuff up on like Spotify and all
Yeah,
that? or-
Spotify and I think iTunes and Google Play.
Don't book him. He doesn't want to play music live anymore. But if you have a voice gig or you just want to hear some cool tunes,
If you need me to just talk to you and like maybe really softly put you to sleep,
I can wake you up.
Yeah. Wake up. Wake up.
Hey, dude, they need to go far enough where they can have voice replacements, the custom voice replacements for like Alexa.
Yeah.
I want to wake up and be like, Alexa, play ESPN, and then hear your voice being like playing ESPN.
Playing ESPN. Hey, Joe, did you mean ESPN?
Yeah. Freaking loser.
Oh, I see you're watching ESPN again. Yeah. Imagine that.
Hey, the Bears lost, bud. Again.
Like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Bears lost. Sorry, Joe.
Sorry. Well, anything else you want to hit before we sign off? Now that you have to awkwardly hold the guitar out here.
I think I'm good. I think I'm good.
How'd you like the Yamaha? Did it play okay?
I like it.
Did
Yeah,
play
I like
okay?
it.
It's
It
all right.
feels.
It's a
It
cheapie, but
feels
it's nice.
like
It's a nice feel.
like a It's made to. I mean, Yamahas. These older ones are definitely like modeled
I like the
after.
body on it.
Yeah, they're modeled after Martins as well.
It's got a nice sound to it.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
I didn't even hear it for the first
Right, I figured
half of
you-
that
yeah,
song, and I was
I
like,
figured that.
And then I did. Then I took them off, and then it was choking me for a minute because I was like,
I go with you.
Yeah.
so I had all
Really,
kinds of weird
really
shit going
thought
on
that
there.
one through, didn't I? I was like, here,
No,
let me throw a song at
That
it
was me.
real
I
quick
should
at
have
the
known
end.
because I've done this before, like with the guitar. I knew that I wouldn't be able to hear one of the two things, so it's like that was my fault. And then I took them off and put them around my neck instead of just taking them off like a normal person. It was just like,
Can't go. How you doing?
All right. Before I
but the
hit
guitar feels great.
before I before I hit off on everything, I just want what's the impression that you love the most that you do? Give me a little taste. Oh, I threw you on the spot. Talking about hanging out with comedians, you better be ready to dance, monkey.
Oh, the impression that I like.
I mean, your Trump was pretty good. I'll be honest with you.
I mean,
that was Scottish is obviously
the impression
great.
that one's a new one. I think
people don't know. Have you ever done stand up or anything?
No,
you could totally.
I haven't.
You could write an hour.
I've thought about it. I've definitely thought about it.
That's a scary.
Yeah, I think comedy is way harder than music.
So scary.
Because it's just you talking.
But yeah, but they all want to be you. You want to be them.
I get it,
That's
but I
one
mean,
of
I
those
still
things.
think comedy's way harder. I will always think that because it just is harder to hold an audience.
Yeah. I don't
with
find
comedy.
myself funny, but like I think we talked about this at some point about the kind of we were talking about plays and musicals earlier. To wrap it all around, that's the same way I feel about comedy. It's the same way I think I hear comedians talk about comedy is that you got your goal is basically to shut your brain off. And you just have to lock in with me. Yeah, you got to go along for.
You got to make people feel very. Well, the other thing too is it's not like there's no background comedy. Like there's background. You can be background music or like front house music, whatever. There's no background comedy. You are either doing well or you're not, and you will know right away because everyone's looking at you and listening to you.
Yeah.
But to that
can't play the hits.
To that
either.
end, I guess maybe one of my favorite impressions to do is just like a regular guy from Chicago. Yeah, actually, I've got a sub YouTube channel that I do. That's sort of like it's like a side channel. It's called Chicago Al. And what I do is I basically troll people on video games.
Are you fucking serious?
I swear to God.
Oh my God.
And I kind of wanted to build a whole streaming guy around.
This?
Yeah, I wear like a fake mustache and like I wear glasses and like a derby
Wait,
cap.
I have to subscribe to a different YouTube channel for this?
Well, I'm thinking maybe that was the original idea, and
this might be the one.
There is a channel called Chicago L, but I think I might just be bringing it in fully into the older than average gamer universe, if you want to call it that.
Slide them in.
I
like that.
because
that could be a good shorts. Good shorts.
Or hear me out, okay? Hear me out.
Yeah.
Or just totally started. Just go straight. I don't know how I didn't think of this before this moment, but just go straight to Twitch with this character and just forget about him on YouTube completely. Just Twitch. No one on Twitch knows who the fuck I am anyway. So we'll go straight to Twitch. Yep. Just hey, Chicago Al here. Come on, let's fart around a bit.
Yeah, you got to fart around. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a Chicago thing to do.
That's right. And if you put mustard or you put ketchup in front of me, I'm gonna bop you on the nose.
And bop you right on the nose.
Right on the noggin.
You ever do like Philadelphia guys? Do you have a Philadelphia?
I don't know Philadelphia as well, because it's more the worder thing, and there's
a little Baltimore in there. There's a little of that. Like
I don't know the nuances quite enough.
The thing I like about their accent is it's not even part. It's they call people Johns. I like when they call people he's Johns.
Johns.
Like
Northeast I can do a little bit, and New York I can do, but like I don't know. And a good buddy of mine is John Condren, who I know you know.
Oh yeah,
and he still has a bit of an accent.
Musician.
Yeah, absolutely. And he still has a bit of a Philadelphia accent, but it's not as thick, I'm sure, as it used to be. So I can still hear a little bit of it in him. But
call each other stiffs.
But I forget about it from time because he's been here for so long. So, but yeah.
Chicago accent was baller. I appreciate that very, very much, sir. All right, well, dude, thank you for coming out.
You.
I mean, we're 3 hours deep. I don't want to force this any further down.
It was fun. I'm gonna eat some food.
Yeah, get that. All right, dude. Appreciate you. Love you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for bringing I almost said sake with you. Yes.
I'll bring the sakanaki.
Much appreciated. Are your glass empty? Mine's empty too. Yeah. All right, so we won't even have to cheers. We'll just thanks. We'll see you soon.
To the life water. To the life blood of water or something.
Now we're cooking. Older than average gamer. Alex Hoffer music, and then just Alex Hoffer. And I think you'll be happy just as the human.
Just a fella.
He doesn't need any of the gimmicks. He's just good times.
I'm just a fella.
Hopefully you'll be hearing him on an airplane near you, or a medical video near you, or
hopefully you don't hear
an amusement park ride.
Yeah, maybe that would be better. If you hear me on a medical video, you might have an issue.
I want to get on a Jurassic Park ride at Universal and hear
Welcome
you
to Jurassic Park.
How sick would that be? It'd be so cool.
This dinosaur is the Dilophosaurus, and we learned recently that it spits venom, which makes it a deadly but beautiful addition to Jurassic Park.
He fucks up that guy from Seinfeld.
All right.
All right, dude. Well, you go eat some food. We'll call this quits, and we'll talk soon. Thanks,
Cheers.
buddy. Cheers.